Welcome to the first part in what is going to be practically a two-part documentary. That is not what I intended for this when I started recording this video, but I'm going with it now because I kind of like the hype. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Debney. A lot of people call me Debbers. I am a second Dan Taekwondo black belt, and I have a lot of competitive experience. Most of it is in Taekwondo dedicated competitions, but some of it is in freestyle events too. So I've come across people of all walks of life, so like MMA, kickboxing, Muay Thai, karate, and boxing. Although I've never actually done boxing myself until this point. But when my friend Salem, who is a longtime best friend of mine, has appeared on multiple of my YouTube videos in the past. I don't know if one on this channel. I think this is the first time they're going to be on this channel, but so many videos and stuff that I've just produced for my business and like sold stock photos. Salem is a big part of my life. So when I saw on their Facebook feed, their mum had shared that they were going to be doing a boxing fight night boot camp for charity, I messaged them immediately and essentially just went, I am coaching you. You're gonna have a coach anyway, because like whoever's organizing it, but I'm gonna coach you. And they said that it was like a good thing I did that because they didn't want to ask, but I knew I had to do it. So I'm going to walk you through like a little bit of my experience with boxing and how I've interacted with the sport in the past. Taekwondo is known as the kicking martial art. Like capoeira comes in a little bit with the dance fighting, but people know Taekwondo is the kicking art. So that means people think we don't use our hands, which is not true at all. We in fact have more hand techniques than boxing, which is hand focused, because we're allowed knife hands and stuff, but we can't really do those while we're sparring because we're wearing gloves and stuff, and like these tools don't connect in the same way, so... I have said in the past that I'm not the biggest fan of boxing culture, and I feel like people see that as me throwing shade, but I'm really not. I'm just aware that I am someone who likes a bit of the decorum, the history, the rules, getting into like the whole martial arts Zen vibe, which like, I am not a Zen person when I'm training, but my head is, as we will come to learn in a moment. Like, for example, I like bowing when I come in and out of the dojang, and even in this gym that I went to for the bootcamp sessions, there is no door. It feels like you're going through the back rooms. It's like underground in this old renovated factory. And there's a bunch of hospitality venues on top of it, but also like people who do escape rooms higher out there, I think, like activities, like anything that you need a big space. But we're underground with that, a couple floors down. And then you walk down the corridor, there's some bathrooms, which is good. But then you turn the corner and then you are just in another corridor. And this one has some heavy bags and some mirrors on it. So I was like, am I past the threshold yet? Where is the dojang? Like, I could not vibe with that. But the actual people love the people. Very specifically wanted to involve myself in this. Yes, for Salem, my friend, but also because I have a lot of martial arts friends who are not here. Manchester is a dead zone for my martial arts social circle, except for the people I actively train with and like a couple people I know who I'm not especially close to, but I would like to go to their sessions in the future. I do have a fly buzzing around the room that's really bothering me, so if you see it, I'm like kind of terrified of it. But I wanted to go meet more martial artists in the local sphere. And yeah, boxing is just like generally treated as a bit more casual. Like I think I've described freestyle competitions when it's mainly kickboxers who I interact with at freestyle competitions so far. I've only been to a few, but the way I always describe it is it feels a bit more like brouhaha. Like there are people chanting and going like, yeah, go, and it's like screaming constantly. Whereas when we're calling out and cheering at Taekwondo competitions, we're trying to be a bit more polite about it, unless everyone is really into like a brawl and we're all just going, yeah, go on, get him. But we're still throwing like technical critiques, like side kick, turn kick, you know, just like throwing a move or something. But I feel like freestyle and the sort of culture that is around MMA, boxing, kickboxing, the stuff that you don't see as traditional martial arts, I like it for different reasons, but it's not my default, and I know that coming into this environment. So I'm skipping ahead now, but I'll tell you. I did some interviews with the organizers, so you'll get the proper scoop from them, but essentially this thing that Salem is taking part in is called IBE, which stands for Industry Boxing Events. Industry meaning the hospitality industry, because I feel like a lot of people are in their own little bubbles and they say in the industry. This industry is hospitality. That's what we're talking about. So a lot of bartenders, but also people who work in hospitality marketing, which is like cool because I could talk to them about that a little bit. And also people like chefs, and I feel like there might have been not a bouncer. There seemed to be like a guy who wasn't any of the front of house staff. He seemed more management. I'm not sure. I don't know everyone's positions. I know there was at least one bar owner who was in there, so we'll get to that later. And basically, I have not got a lot of experience working in hospitality. The closest thing I came to was when I was a generic team member at an inflatable park that was around Trafford. So you'll probably even know what I'm talking about, actually, if I say that. But I would like worked reception, and then I worked safety on the bouncy stuff, and then I also had a couple of shifts like working the cafe. I was like an everything bitch. And I was not good at it. And I left very quickly because it was not my bag. It's a very hard job. And people in these hard jobs tend to end up turning to substance abuse, especially when it's less restaurant and more bar work. You end up in an environment where everyone around you's cutting loose. There's a lot of substances that are floating around, and it sort of leads to generally unhealthy lifestyles, especially when you're working unsociable hours. There's not a lot of sports clubs that really allow you to have the schedule of like most competitions I go to happen on the weekends when most people are working. Most training sessions happen like kind of in that floaty space between kids getting out of school and getting them settled down for bed, because like most martial arts classes focus on like whole family vibes, although we're currently an adults only club. Not that we only allow adults, but only adults attend our club right now, so we have like a different rota. But most hospitality people are working night shift. They're not able to get to a regular training that works for them. So this was sort of the conceptualization of industry boxing events. It's a really old thing, but I'm just talking about this one now, which is the Resurrection Manchester, meaning they've had events in Manchester before. It's very north based, but it seems like they've been more focused around Leeds historically. So they've come back to Manchester now, so they're calling it the Resurrection. It's an 8-week boot camp with a set curriculum, which I think they have posted graphics of it, so I'll even like rotate out the curriculum on screen for you now so you can just sort of see what they intend to do week by week. I think it was at week 4 they started sparring, but the concept is you bring in completely fresh people with either very little or no fighting history. They're beginners because then you want it to be kind of fair. There are some people who have a little bit of fighting experience, but each person I've spoken to who has previous fighting experience seems like they had a lot of time out, or they got injured, or they aren't really competitive and they wanted to get into that sort of vibe, because this is one of those big hyped up, you know, we've got glitz and glamour and we're going to do all the promo cards of people holding up their guard like this and scowling at each other, like proper like OG boxing paraphernalia everywhere. Whereas in Taekwondo competitions, I have got a lot of footage of this racked up that I'm going to be doing videos like this for these competitions I've attended recently. And it's like very room full of people, rotating fights on matches, constantly calling announcements, what's going to happen next. Whereas for this, it's more like an audience, almost performative. We got a fight and it's between these two people and we're all going to watch these people and go. So it's bringing beginners into an environment where they learn the basics and then work up to learning how to spar, and then ideally they'll be able to get into that fighting mindset before putting on like a big show. And it's all for charity, which is always great. The fighters get to pick their own charities, and then people are allowed to invite guests, or you don't even need to come because the venue does have a max capacity, which I'm not even sure what the max capacity is, but I feel like they are past the halfway point with tickets as I'm shooting this now. But if you don't actually attend the event, or if they run out of tickets ideally, then you can still donate to each individual fighter's charity. So I do not know the organizers for this when I came into the environment of IBE. I know Salem. So Salem is a friend of mine who I met through doing YouTube when I was a teenager. We've known each other over a decade. We have grown up together. We've gone through all our cringy phases and we're still friends, even though there was like a little bit in the middle there where my ex was like being a bit weird, but you know, we're still friends. In the entire time that I've known Salem, they have not done any martial arts. So that's quite a while of not being involved with any martial arts. I do know that they briefly did Japanese jiu-jitsu. A lot of people go for BJJ when they talk about jiu-jitsu, but Salem did Japanese jiu-jitsu and they did a little bit of capoeira, and this is forever and ever ago. So they're basically coming in fresh as a newbie with no experience in boxing. I'm going to skip to the end here. They're very happy with it. They're hoping to continue doing it in the future. So that makes it happy, because I sometimes don't get to see Sal as much because we're on such opposite work schedules. I'm very corporate 9-to-5 vibes, even though I don't actually do full time for most of my contracts because I have my businesses too. We just don't get to see each other as much because if I'm not working, I'm normally training. So if Sal can come train with me, that would be really nice. They are also a very experienced bartender. I think they started pulling pints when they were like 16 or something at a football club, if I'm remembering this right. And then they've gone up to like being a normal bartender and a mixologist, and they've got some food service experience, and they're like a competitive bartender now. They have got loads of accolades and have worked at some I feel like they've worked at top 50 bars. I don't know this for a fact. I know that they've been speaking with people from a lot of top 50 bars, so I can't keep track of their career for them, but they're really successful. And for this particular moment in time, they're working at an organization that has 2 venues called Kodo and the Wash House. So those are the venues they're representing, although officially it's Kodo, because I imagine it's like the Kodo group or something. Officially, they're representing Kodo for IBE. Everyone taking part is representing their venue. And you can see that in all the match cards and stuff. It represents the venue that they're from because hospitality, and it tells you about the charity they do individually. There's a lot of names floating around, so it's best to like pick your guy and keep track of that guy. And in this case, we're doing Salem. Now, even though Salem has never trained any formal martial arts, while I've known them, I have invited them to come train with me sometimes just because I thought it would be fun, and they were... they're kind of the embodiment of like sometimes a beginner is more dangerous than a black belt because you can't predict what that person's gonna be able to do. In Salem, like I remember one time I said, okay, I've got these kama, I've got like wooden training kama are like little sickle type axes that you handhold, and I've got these kama and I'm practicing using them, but I would like to practice sort of defending against them to see what I would do. There was no chill. There was no chill at all. There was no warm-up. I just got wood. Like, it's wood. It's not nothing. It's not a live blade, but it's heavy wood. And it's just slammed down on my head first go. So it was like an immediate genuine block. And I was like, maybe we don't do that. Maybe we calm down a little bit. So I knew that Salem wasn't going to be scared of eating shit. They weren't going to be scared of taking a hit from anybody. It didn't matter who they get matched with because you find out your match is about halfway through. And... I was more worried about them being able to control themselves and guide it in a certain way, especially because with boxing, you see people like swinging and flailing and like they call it the haymaker for a reason. It's like so visible. You like wind it up and then you just go, whoa. I need Salem to be able to pull it back because, you know, sometimes you need to guard, you need to do combos, you need to do a multitude of things. You need that hand back and you need to know that it's going where you want it to go when you're throwing a shot. If you're throwing blind, you're not going to be able to get through people's cracks in their guard. So that was what I was thinking with them going into it. So essentially, Salem clued me in on all this information when I rang them. They had already been to a couple sessions at the time. I think they were in about week 2 or 3 when I found out about it. Maybe week 2, because they were starting to sort of... They wanted to get a hang of it, see what it was about, and then start generating interest for selling tickets and stuff for the charity fundraising. So that was when I found out about it. So then I said to Salem, okay, I would really like to come to a session with you because I want to coach you. They seemed very happy about that. They're like, yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. Let's do extra training outside of the normal sessions and stuff. But because I'm a Taekwondo practitioner, I don't know the boxing rules. I know what they do. I've seen boxing fights, but I don't know their regulations. I don't know what the aim is for. I don't know if it's points based or if it's just based off like who dominates the match. Like at some freestyle events, they don't do points. They just sort of decide who did better and judge based off of that. So I didn't know what I was coaching them for. The key to winning any competition is knowing the rule set. You should never apologize for asking, because some people act like everyone's supposed to know because you're in the room. Don't apologize for asking the rules, because it's how you win. If it's on a technicality, it's not a technicality. You are just following the situation you're placed in. So I wanted to go to a class. So this boot camp offers 2 sessions a week for everyone. There's the mandatory Mondays and then there is the optional Thursdays. Because of my work schedule at the time, my contract dictated I would be working during their Monday session because, like I said, with the weird schedules, they start kind of earlier in the day than you normally would. It's about like 3 o'clock or something before people go and work their evening shifts after waking up sort of later in the day. So for them, it's kind of their morning midday slot. But for me, it was right at the end of my work day, but I couldn't get there in time. So I didn't go to the Monday, but I was available Thursday. So I went to a Thursday session. Now I got some footage here that I'm going to go through to sort of jog my own memory. But I was a little nervous because we went to a sort of pre-training session that had been set up by one of the other competitors. It was in a park nearby the venue, and it was just like really simple, get a ladder out and do some kind of like footwork drills, a few jabs on the pad, get an idea of strength. And this guy's not an organizer. I'm led to believe he's good mates with the organizers, but I don't know that for a fact. He's not an organizer, but he's really experienced in boxing previously, and I think he'd had some time out maybe for an injury, and this was his way of getting back into boxing. So boxing is like his thing, so I think he's going to get paired with another experienced guy, but I don't know everyone's backstories quite well. So that was my time to like meet people, and I was a little bit nervous in the sense that I am intruding on their project, and when you come into an environment in which you are not the expert, but you're an expert in something else that's sort of tangential, like, you don't want them to think that you're coming in trying to take over their event. I really didn't want that. So I made a point of like saying, hi, I'm Georgia. I didn't even really give my credentials. Salem gave my credentials because I didn't want to come in looking like, hey, I'm this hotshot black belt. I'm like great at what I do and I'm coming here to try your little fit. Like, I didn't want that because that's not how I felt. But sometimes people are just determined to misunderstand you, you know? So I was nervous on that front. But it wasn't like that. Everyone was really lovely. We met a few of the people who were early birds. So it's like one of the other ladies who was taking part. There is mostly guys. I noticed it was mostly guys taking part. Salem is a they, so non-binary individual. But there was like at least, I think it's 3 or 4 ladies, and then the majority of them are dudes. So I was like meeting everyone, and one of the organizers, who's like a volunteer coach, he's not the main guy. He's a guy called Dom, and he sort of stands in as a coach on the optional days because he's Manchester based. He's really cool. He's an experienced boxer, and the other 2 are based sort of around Yorkshire ways. So they're actively running a Leeds boot camp as well right now. So they can't be back and forth every other day to run the optional classes where people might not show up. They come in on the Mondays, and then Dom sort of takes the lead on a Thursday when he's the one who's there in charge as the authority. Dom turned up a little bit halfway through the session. I didn't know how intense the sessions were going to be, so I was sort of focusing more on socializing than actually like doing the drills at the pre-session in the park, and just sort of introducing myself to people. Went up to Dom, said, hi, are you cool with me recording? Obviously Salem had gone ahead. They have a big group chat WhatsApp that I'm not in because I'm not an official participant. They had like messaged and said, hey, do you mind if I show up and come record it? I had messaged one of the organizers, Ricky, saying, yeah, it's cool, you go, turn up. And I asked them if they wanted to do a With Respect episode. Still haven't done that, but I still would like someone to do a With Respect episode because I want to get some boxers in on it. I've not done that yet. And that was what we did. So we completed that session, which I didn't get any footage of because it was outside and it was only there for like maybe half an hour or something. And then we moved on to the actual venue where I started recording the training. So we started off doing like a little group warm up together. The room isn't massive, the back room. The room isn't massive, so we lined up in 2 little sets, and we had like an opposing partner, and we would do a run and then do an exercise, and then we would run again and do another exercise. I think it was like press ups, sit ups, there was a plank at one point, little squat jumps, and every time you have to do a little run. And that's just part of the group warm-up that we had. They allowed time for everyone to do their own individual warm-up too, but no one could really tell what I was doing. Everyone seemed confused that I was stretching my legs a lot, because I know you're not supposed to kick. Like, I didn't really do any kicks to warm up because I didn't want to like activate leg mode, because I was so conscientious of like being a stylization issue. I like kicking, not gonna kick. So I was already trying to focus on like, instead of holding my normal guard, I got called out by Dom like immediately for holding my normal guard, which he called it a long guard, which I've not heard that term before as a long guard, but I guess I get it, where you've got one hand up here and that's guarding your head. You can just see it in your peripheral vision. And then you have another hand, which is out here around your midsection. And the idea is you can bring it up and down to either guard your head or guard your lower half of your body at like any point. Whereas boxers, they're just like here all the time. I don't know if I'm like the preferred size, but basically the target area is like a really high waistband, like about here, like about where my desk is. And like your forearm should pretty much be able to cover the whole area once you got the gloves on. So they don't even like really like you moving your guard away from your body, which I think is rather energy inefficient, but that's the rules that they have, so that's what I was learning to do. And instead you like weave your whole body, and you're doing that, which like I can weave, I do that too. I don't tend to duck under as much as they do, because in Taekwondo, like that's just like bringing your face down for a kick to the face is what you're doing there. But because they don't have that in boxing, that was sort of a thing that I was like learning to adapt to. And I didn't want them to spend a lot of time coaching me either, because I'm not the fighter. I was there to focus on Salem and make some friends, but I didn't want to be a bother by not doing what they want me to do when I'm partnering other people, because I don't want the people actually in the fight night to learn based off a different, like to learn to respond to a different style to what they're actually supposed to be responding to. So I have to be competent enough to not be an annoyance but I also didn't want them coaching me so much. Luckily, I feel like I pick up on stuff relatively quickly, but you know, when you actually get into it, muscle memory can take over, and it was a whole thing. I was like just trying to focus on being a good partner to people. This session we did was a lot of combos. I feel like they didn't get everyone to do the combo. I feel like they ran out of time or something, so like one side did the full combo and one side did like half of the combo, and then they made up for it the next week, where they were like, if you didn't get as much pad time this week, then make sure you do it next week, and like practice in your own time. You've got to stress, like, especially with this sort of lifestyle shifting boot camp procedure, you really push getting it into the whole of their lifestyle. Don't move it into a separate spot in your brain where, okay, we're training now, and now training's off. That's like sort of when you have a regular class you attend constantly. When you've got a goal set in mind, this is why I always like having a competition on my calendar. When you've got a goal set in mind, it's really prominent in your day-to-day life as well. So they were telling people, we encourage you to do extra trainings. Just if you do, let us know what you're doing so we can like prepare to coach you the next week, so we don't spend too long on beginner stuff if people are advancing themselves. Like, some people were going to local boxing gyms. I think one girl, Holly, said that she was trying to sneak and like privately go to other classes at a local boxing gym, and then the lady who now ended up being her opponent, who was also like one of her best friends anyway, they sort of joined it up together. They accidentally bumped into them also trying to sneak extra classes. But Salem's made it very clear they're training with me, so you know. I remember the main thing that like was really unnatural for me with this boxing combo that we did was the block, because this movement for me is preparing for an elbow strike. Because like the boxing guard is here, so then they go like that. So that kind of makes sense. You're hinging at the shoulder more than anything. It makes like a normal thing. In my normal guard, I would just bring my hand forward here, or move my hand around here. Like you can see in my other sparring videos, I'm quite a good blocker. It sort of doesn't work out in my favor sometimes, because some refs will hear the noise and go, oh, point, but no, it was just me blocking instead of actually making contact. I do dodge as well, but like I prefer to be a blocker, which is why I end up with bruises all over here. I've actually got a scrape here from training last night. Don't know how that happened because we were all wearing gloves, but whatever. So that we just did a lot of that drill. I know a lot of the time I was getting told to slow down a lot, and I couldn't tell if I was getting told to slow down predominantly because I was moving too fast for my partner to respond with the pads, or if I was moving too fast that they couldn't tell what I was doing, or if like maybe it was just too early in the 8 weeks where I was applying a bit too much force, because you know speed plus strength, speed times strength equals force. So I wasn't sure what it was. I know for a fact that I wasn't doing it perfectly. I know I was slipping into Taekwondo-isms, but I was trying, and I feel like I got it after a while. And then when we tried to swap hands, I was like, oh god, oh no. So I didn't end up partnered with Salem a lot for this one, and I feel like that's a good thing, because they can partner with me any other time. Here they need to partner with the people who are on their level, and sort of everyone's had equal training, so they know what to expect more. I feel like it's more beneficial to them to spar and practice and do pad work with the people who are not me. But that helps because I got this footage to watch them back, and I was able to give them advice based off of that later. You can see that Salem is the one who's got like split hair. There's two of them with split hair, but Salem is the shorter one with split hair. And honestly, a lot of my predictions came true in that they are very aggressive, and they like wanted their partner to be hitting them a bit more, to be honest, because the thing that they're struggling with is the mental switch on into fight mode. You kind of have to trigger it sometimes. You have to actually just eat a few shots before your brain goes, oh, we're fighting, okay. But like for the most part, I gave them feedback like move your feet more, be a bit more on your toes, a bit bouncy, it makes you harder to predict, work on your control of your shots, and like a lot of it seemed true, but honestly I thought they were doing quite well. Maybe I'm biased. We switched up gears towards the end, and we ended up doing this drill where, so the fight, I believe on fight night, it's 3 rounds of 3 minutes at a time with a 1 minute break in between. So 9 minutes total for a 11 minutes like engagement sort of thing. So for this, they did it so for 1 minute, you're punching the bag. It's a heavy bag. So you're punching the bag, and the idea was to get as much, like just keep moving. There are drills for different things, and I feel like a lot of the people who were in the room were thinking, hit it as hard as possible, as much as possible, every time. And like, that's not why you're training some stuff. When you're fighting, you want every shot to hit as hard as possible because you only need one to end a fight. And that's how you save the most energy. My one knockout actually was from a jab. I have a video of that somewhere. Not on my YouTube yet. I'm going to dig it off my TikTok because I don't have the original file anymore. That's when you're actually sparring in a competition, or when you're actually in a real self-defense situation. When you're training, different drills have different points, and the point of this one was to get the fighters ready to do their 3 by 3 by 3 minute fight. So using all your strength for every single shot is not really the point of it. You're supposed to like aim to hit hard, but not super hard. And I feel like you can tell, like, I'm getting more reps in. I'm hidden behind these two guys, so I'm on the third bag nearest to the little jutty out wall, but you can just kind of see my hands, and I'm getting like clean straight shots in, so the power is being delivered, but it's kind of disguised. And then towards the end of each round, I could see that the guys next to me were flagging and needing more breaks. If I need a break, I sort of go and then I go back, but I could see them being like okay, and then go back into it. The point was to not stop. You're building stamina, so you're not supposed to be putting your entire body into every single shot when you're doing this sort of drill. And obviously a little bit of speed and recovery at the same time helps. And then between the 1 minute, when you're not the person doing the 1 minute, we got exercises, so like little squats and jumping jacks, star jumps, whatever you want to call them. I call them star jumps, but apparently a star jump is when all your limbs leave the floor at one time and you sort of burst like a shooting star. But star jumps, jumping jacks, whatever. And then we also had to do high knees as well. And high knees is one of the exercises I hate the most for some reason, even though I'm literally a kicker. Like, I had high knees, like you can see that I'm like keeping them up to waist height, and like that's sort of how you chamber for most kicks, so I can do it. But I always end up looking at the ceiling like I look like I want to die. So it just kind of like soul leaves the body. But I had a lot of fun with that. It was really good. I would like to point out there's a lot of visible vents in this backrooms corridor dojang. There is no air circulation. All that air is going elsewhere. There were no vents, so we're all dying. They haven't even got like the cliched rotating blade fan that every gym has. Oh, and for this session I wore my favorite like default gloves that I wear to my own training and my own competitions. They're open palm gloves, so they've got like a little bit of padding and you can see this bit of your hand, and you sort of tuck your fingertips into a sheath kind of thing, and your thumb as well, so nothing's exposed, you got no sharps. But all the other fighters were wearing 16-ounce gloves. Salem told me that they wear closed fist gloves, but they didn't know what size they were, so I just took my favorite gloves and was like, if they tell me off, then I'll wear a different one next time. They didn't tell me this time I need to wear different gloves. When I went to another session later, they told me I need to wear bigger gloves. And there's a few reasons that people would wear 16 ounces, and most places don't want you to wear 16-ounce gloves, right? That is a lot of padding. Like a lot of like you don't understand the reduction in force, and it's going to be for a few reasons in this situation, because they are beginners and they're not going to be used to being rattled around so much. So, you know, like even if you're putting out a lot of force, it helps you gain confidence without sending someone to hospital, and you can have to reduce the risk of injury, because these fighters are fighters who are in a program, and it culminates with them having matches. Like they've picked people so they're like it's an even number, people who are going to be able to be paired reasonably fairly. So if you lose anyone, then you sort of have to find someone to stand in at the last minute, or one person doesn't get a fight, which is not fair at all. So you've got to be more careful with that. It helps breeds people's confidence, because it feels like they're not taking as hard a shots as they are when they translate to like smaller gloves later. They also had hand wraps within the gloves. I've never wrapped a day in my life, and I don't really intend to. I know it's just a personal choice, but a lot of people will say it's necessary for safety. It's not really necessary for safety. It's necessary based off what you prefer. Some people fight in just hand wraps, and that's crazy to me. But also insurance. So there's a whole lot of reasons people have big gloves, but I did not have big gloves for this session. This was just a pad work session. So although like at times you're sort of throwing shots at people, they're not with strength. It's not sparring. It's just they can react and duck about it. So that might be why they didn't even clock that I had different gloves on. We also wore gum shields. They got people to wear gum shields even though we like didn't really need them, because we weren't supposed to be making contact with people. Obviously people miss as well, so with beginners you miss a lot more, so people were wearing gum shields to protect their mouth just in case, which I definitely ate at least one shot without a gum shield during this whole procedure. But that was actually a training session alone with Salem, and I went, maybe gum shields, yeah. So that's what happened. But then the next time they were like, just remember, bring bigger gloves. I don't even think I own 16 ounce. I own like 5, now 6 pairs of gloves, because my friend just gave me some spare gear. But I think the biggest I have is like 14 ounce. So I'm going to wear those next time, which they look really cool. I'm glad to get some use out of them. I also have some 12s, but bigger gloves are required. At the end of the session, I did a little interview with Dom. He asked me how I found it, and I was like, yeah, it's really good to just get some dedicated hand time in. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. And then we did this little interview, which I'll show you now. So do you want to just talk through the events, what IBE is, why we're all here?
Yeah, so IBE is basically industry boxing events. It's all based for the hospitality industry, which is basically anyone who works in a bar, restaurant, cleaner for those bars, doorman potentially for those bars, anyone from the top to the bottom. And we just understand that it's an industry where you can fall into bad habits very quickly, and where we were quite conscious of that and really wanted to do something where people could get involved. Mental health wise, it really improves, fitness it improves, and it's something to do that's not just drinking in a bar with your mates. So I joined into this actually as a competitor first, and then started doing the training with the guys, with Ricky and Ben. Ricky and Ben are the guys who started it, and we've done 10, 15 events in Leeds now, so you know that's coming up to 150, maybe 200 people taking part. So many massive events, so many tickets sold, and obviously it's charity based, so we've made so much money for Mind, so much money for the fighters' individual charities, and maybe not everyone carries it on forever, but a large percentage of people go on to be well more into the fitness. You make friends for life, and yeah, it's one of the greatest things I've ever took part in. So.
And you've got experience in multiple arts, so why boxing for this?
Boxing for this is because we're not here to hurt each other. Our aim is not to hurt our opponent. Our aim is to beat our opponent. But this is also someone who works in our industry. They're not going to be professionally trained fighters. We've only got between 8 to 10 weeks to train them. And in that time, you can learn to box, you can learn to defend yourself, and you can learn to fight well. Whereas if you were to try to do something like MMA, or maybe any other contact sport, really, kickboxing, etc., far more dangerous, far more likely to get hurt. And especially without training and proper training, you're actually such a high chance of really hurting your opponent by accident, and we're not here for that. Yes, people are throwing punches at 100%. We take every precaution to make sure every fighter's safe. Defence is first, attacking is second.
Okay, and since I'm here because I'm coaching, but I do Taekwondo, I don't know boxing, so I was here to learn what boxing actually is. How did you find me as a cross trainer?
Yeah, it was great. Obviously, the biggest difference for someone like yourself who's took part in martial arts for such a long time is unlearning our stances, especially, and obviously for you in a Taekwondo stance or any sort of that side of the world martial arts, you tend to lean out a little bit leg forward, and a bit Floyd Mayweather, like a long guard as we'd call it.
We had to do this duck, and I was like, oh, never done that.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys would lean and move, catch and throw.
Normally like.
For us, yeah, we're all staying up, body posture hard, rolling out of the way, slipping out the way. So for us it's a lot more shoulders, and obviously for you guys it's full body. Us is shoulders and hips. These events will be taking part all over Leeds forever, and this one is the first one in Manchester. You can find us on the Industry Boxing Events Instagram. Take a look, and we're fighting on the fight night, the 18th, 19th. 18th, Monday, Amber's nightclub. It's all for great causes, all good fun. And the night out afterwards at Behind Closed Doors Manchester will be amazing.
Yeah, so after that, I walked home with Salem. We had a little bit of a debrief. We talked a bit about post-training practices and dietary stuff. And like, I enter kind of coach mode. So I do not see myself as an instructor. I've said in videos in the past when I'm talking to people, like, I don't want to own a club. I don't want it to be my business. I don't want to be in charge of other students and responsible for them. In some point in the future, I might want to own a venue that I rent to people, but I don't want to be a coach instructor, but I like assisting because I like being able to pass on knowledge in that way. Like, I'm a second nan. It's sort of natural that you want to help other people improve because it's something I'm really passionate about is martial arts. Taekwondo specifically, but just generally, I enjoy seeing people become more competent in combat. Maybe it's something about the fact we live in a very civilized world where we don't need it anymore, but like, I just enjoy it and I want other people to get better at it. But I'm very conscious of coaching for style choice when I'm doing it. Like, when I coach normally, like, I have a couple people in my club who are like lower belts than me, so like Jen and Fozia, people who I train with regularly now. I help them by giving them advice, and it makes me so emotional because they give me like all the warm fuzzies, like, oh my god, you're such an inspiration. And I'm like, no, stop it. Literally, I don't know what to say. I just want to help them. But every time I like give advice to people, they tell me it is helpful. So that's pretty much the reason I keep offering advice, because if someone told me like, stop it, you're being annoying, I would never again, because I would just be traumatized. But I wanted to like understand what boxers wanted from this class, and then I got a gauge on how Salem was feeling as an athlete, like emotionally, where are you feeling? What's your head like? What are your nutrition things like? How are you finding your stamina? One of the things that you really have to focus on with a boot camp like this is you've got 2 months to build stamina, which means you can't really have a week off because your lungs and your heart don't work like that. Muscle shows up a lot faster. You can have a really good session and then you have like 2 days and the muscle is there. Like, you can't lose fat that quickly. Fat has to sort of come off slowly, so you end up a little thicker at first than you ever were before when you feel like you're just a bit chubby, because the muscle stacks on top of the fat and then the fat burns away. But that's whatever. That happens slowly over time. Cardio also happens slowly over time. You can't just become good at cardio in a day. So that's like one of the main things I was focusing on. And I sort of gave them the feedback of from what I saw. I went home and watched my long video of the like 2 hour session, watched all of it. Sent them critiques and stuff as I was going through, and I was like, look out for that, look out for that. I told them like stuff that I observed from other people on the off chance they get paired with them. The person who Salem ended up getting paired with was not at the first session I went to, so I couldn't critique them based off that. But I like gave them drills that I went through, and I said to them, I want to teach you some stuff that we didn't go over in this session. And we did, and it was great. I also made a point because like I didn't want to take over any kind of thing I was walking into. This is not my event, but I also wanted to make it clear to Salem that some stuff that they're saying is correct is actually a personal preference thing. Your coach will always teach you what's right, and they think they're right because obviously that's what they do and it works for them. But it's like when a rich person tells you that you should do the thing that they did to get rich. It may work for them and it may work for other people, but you don't know if it's the best approach for you. Even in Taekwondo, I get told that I move weird a lot of the time, and I do stuff that's unpredictable, and I do a lot of switching stance, and I'm quite fast with it, and I like my axe kicks and stuff, and that's not a really common move that people kind of spam a lot. So I was like, this is a stylized choice for you. So this leads into a training session I did with Salem at my place. Okay, so I've got Salem here.
Hello.
Salem's my fighter.
Hiya. How's it going?
This is all because of them, so what are we here for?
So I am actually a bartender. I'm taking part in the industry boxing event, which is a charity fight night. What we do is we all fight for our chosen charity. We train for 8 weeks, and then we just get in the ring and have a bit of fun.
Good. And you do have a little bit of fighting experience before this, not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's like quite literally, I did jiu-jitsu as a kid and I dated a boxer, but otherwise we just have the fun, don't we? Like it's something that I've always genuinely wanted to have a crack at and I wanted to do. And because the training sessions are so accessible, it means that I've got the chance to like do it properly, and then teaming up with you as well means that I now know that actually I really like this.
It's quite fun. You got a little bit of rage inside you.
So just a teensy like a small bit of rage, but mainly just a bit of fun.
It's very productive to have those two in tandem, to be honest.
Oh yeah. The brain goes brr in a very good way.
Basically, I'm coaching, but I'm not officially I'm not a boxer. Taekwondo is very leg-based, but we have hand techniques too, and I'm here to teach Salem some stuff that they might not get in a very beginner class because I trust them to use their judgment to know if it's a situation where they want to bust out something a bit fancier.
Yeah, and then if I don't bust it out, not the end of the world. I've still learned a new skill, because let's face it, when you get in a ring and you get hit in the face, it doesn't matter if you've been hit in the face once or 50 times, you're still kind of going to go, oopsies, I forgot.
Exactly. And you were telling me you wanted to spar with me just so you could get hit more.
Yeah, just because, as much as the training sessions have been great, of course, it's a mix of genders and sexes, and sometimes you'll have a padding partner where your partner was supposed to attempt to lever you, not properly, 30% intensity, but still do it so you can learn your slips and your rolls, and it doesn't happen. So I'm just like, well, Georgia will lever me.
Yeah.
You've known me for long enough.
Yeah, so we've known each other since we were young teenagers, because we met for YouTube when I was just getting into making videos and stuff, so it's at least in excess of a decade at this point.
Oh, definitely. And I stopped making YouTube videos because I'm just not built for that life.
I stopped Taekwondo sort of for 5 years around the middle, not through any purposeful choice. I just sort of accidentally stopped after I got burnt out from my black belt exam and my GCSEs happening at the same time. But you saw my re-emergence into the sport.
Oh yes, it was like a phoenix rising from the ashes. It was a very fun one, because I was like, oh, she's still got that dog in her. It's still there.
The dog.
The dog's still in there.
And I've showed you a few of my sparring videos. I have no idea how many of them you've watched because you're not obligated to. But did you see anything there that made you go, this is going to be useful?
Well, actually, it's mainly the stamina, which is actually quite good to watch. Because across all martial arts, especially when you see sparring, some of course if you watch it on Olympic level, sometimes you sit there and go, oh, that's a bit boring, isn't it? Give me the blood, give me the good stuff. But what's good is seeing it on a not televised platform. You get to see a lot more. You get to see where those combinations hit, or in your case patterns, where those come through, and what can be transferable to a different fighting style. And also, like I said again, that stamina, knowing the fact that you're going to have X amount of time what do you do? How do you do it? And I also reckon as well, you've been kicked, you've been punched.
A lot.
Yeah, it's and it's something which I'm not afraid of, but it's just good to have someone who is very used to getting kicked and punched, sorting you out for getting kicked and punched.
Yeah, and I feel like when you're practicing with fellow newbies, everyone's got that inherent, they don't know where the line is. Like, sometimes a newbie is scarier because they just don't have any control over their power, which I worried you were going to be, actually.
Oh no, I'm chilling. I'm just like, oh, just hit me in the face. It's fine. I've got all the time in the world today. Go on, just hit me one. Yeah, cool. Sick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But generally, they don't really like it. So you need someone who can take the hit and not go, whoa, calm down a minute, so you can get that muscle memory of continuing your flow state and actually like pelting them a bit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but it's been a really good experience for me so far. I think I'm about halfway through now, so it's we're now starting to get into the sparring stage. I've actually just come from the first ever proper sparring session, bit of Shark Tank, which is always fun, where they just stick you in the middle and they go, right, 30 seconds, get levered, and you're like, sweet, cool. And I got in trouble and I had to do a couple of burpees because me and a fellow fighter started to get into a little bit of a brawl, and it happens. But now we know what not to do, and now we know what to do better. I've learned my lessons, and now we're going to keep continuing.
Burpees with or without the press?
Well, I mean, we kind of got away with not doing the press because we were doing it in the gloves, and the floor was very, very, very slippy. So I think if we did the press, both of us just be face down on the ground.
Yeah, no. With the press is brutal. Although officially, OG burpees have no press in them. Just going to say that. But it's sort of adopted it now. You have to do... And then at squad training, they're like, if you don't do the press and the jump at the end, it's not a burpee.
Oh, I mean, that's heavy. That's heavy. That's the thing, because my sporting background was actually hilariously swimming and rugby. So it's team sport and individual sport. And yeah, so I've had my fair share of burpees and be wanting to crawl into a hole afterwards because you've done a silly. Very much so.
You're doing this for charity?
Yes.
What charity?
So I'm doing this for Ehlers Danlos Support UK. It's a charity. It's very close to my heart because I myself actually have Ehlers Danlos Syndrome. It is a condition where your body basically doesn't produce enough collagen. So it means I have nice, stretchy skin. And I have type 3, which is hypermobility, which means, I can't really demonstrate. I'm holding a microphone. But it means that on a good day, I'm like a little piece of Laffy Taffy. Everything goes great. On a bad day, my joints dislocate. Other offsets that can happen is heart conditions. That's pretty common. It's a subset called POTS. MCAS, which means that you can actually develop allergies, even though you've never had them before, and grow out of them intermittently as well. Actually, one very well-known person with the same condition as me is Jamila Jamil, who does amazing work for this charity as well, alongside Evie Oddly from Drag Race. Fun fact. But yeah, I'm also doing it because I've been quite fortunate in the sense that I do use mobility aid occasionally. I am nowhere near as affected as some other people that I've met. I'm doing this because I get the chance to, because a lot of other people can't. And what this charity does is they put that funding into research, into that support, making sure that people can get their reasonable accommodations. And it's something that's quite important just in everyday life.
Yeah, I do not have the same condition as Salem, but I do have a lot of autoimmune related, flexi-skeleton vibe conditions.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that you're talking about the fact that not everyone who has what can be very debilitating conditions, it doesn't mean you're bedbound all the time, so people sort of assume that means you're fine.
Yeah, or they just assume you're lying, which is always a great one.
I can go to a competition and be hardcore the whole weekend, barely eat, win a gold medal, but then you don't see me Monday. And normally neither do my colleagues.
Exactly. And, it can actually happen to me when bartending a lot of the time, if it's around Christmas time, incredibly solid. Lots of bars, not very accessible either as a venue for guests or venues behind the scenes. So it's a lot of stairs up and down. Something goes wrong, you slip, you fall, anything like that, and then I'm out of work for 2 days. Or just, unfortunately, I could tank, power through, lie in bed, roll over, suddenly my hip pops out, and I'm back on a walking stick as the best case result. Worst case result, it's me calling 111 to be reminded how to relocate.
We had a crunchy hip week this week.
Yes, very crunchy. Very, very crunchy.
But yeah, so we're going to do some training. You've just been to training. We're going to do more training now that you've had a little rest, because recovery is important for building stamina.
It is.
So is there anything you want to get out of this session now?
So at this point, I'm just because I learned my lesson doing Shark Tank. So definitely I need to remember to not drop my guard when I'm throwing punches, because it's just very silly otherwise. We've had sword and shield hammered to us so many times. Did I have a shield at all? No, I did not. So that's one thing. And then just making sure that I keep on top of my footwork so I don't just kind of start like crossing and just being a bit daft about it, really, because it just doesn't help anyone.
No, definitely not you when you're trying to win.
No, exactly.
Okay, so we're gonna train and you guys are gonna watch. So this footage is like a little harder to see because we're like in my living room gym, and normally I just train in here solo, so it's a little squished. But they came over after a non-optional Monday session. They didn't bring their gloves because they like forgot them from that session, but they like came after already training today for a couple hours. So Sal was really stacking the stamina, and I was like making sure they were taking a lot of water breaks, and they kept being like, no, I'm fine. It's like, no, you get water. You fuel, you get a snack. Because they were also telling me, like, after each session, they were getting, like, emotional drops because the endorphin highs, like, I'm talking about you've got to build up cardio over time as well because your body's not used to it. You're putting it into shock a little bit. But it's also, your body isn't used to all the hormones because, like, I call them happy chemicals because I, like, enjoy working out and I enjoy the after feeling. But when they go away, this mad endorphin drop just sends you like into a depression sometimes. It really depends what your baseline is at. If you're not used to these sort of feelings rushing around your body, if you do like a really intense training session and you like don't eat or you don't like shower enough time, even if you don't like get electrolytes in you, that's why they have sports drinks. If you don't do all that stuff, then it just makes you crash right away. So I didn't want them to have like a worse crash, so I was like making sure they were taking rest and stuff. I did a little warm up because I've been at my desk all day, but Sal was pretty much warmed up, so I wasn't really getting them to do much. I showed them a few dynamic stretches, and I made it clear that I noticed this when I went to the 2 boxing sessions I've been to. They don't really like tell you anything about stretching, so you should do dynamic stretches before a workout. And that means moving. So you're not pushing force on any kind of joint. You're not making it stretch. You're just generating movement in a range of motion that you were. These aren't even like stretches I do, but I'm sat down. Like, that's the point. It's like to get the blood flowing. So when people are told to stretch out before a session and they sort of sit down and start pulling down to their toes, I kind of cringe because you're going to rip your hamstring in half. It sounds dramatic, but I did it one time. Not fully in half, but you know, like damaged. And like my Taekwondo instructor, Mick, he described it originally to me as your arteries and your veins, consider them like a hose, and your blood is water in the hose. So what happens when you pull a hose? You pull all the water out of it and you stop it traveling through because it's now a narrower gap as well. So you're not getting oxygen flowing around to your muscles, you're not getting blood flowing around, you're not actually warming up. If you just did a little cardio-based warm-up, you kind of killed it off because the blood flow's gone now. So you should be doing dynamic, gentle movements before exercise, and then do your static stretches after. And there's also a third type of stretch, which I can't remember the proper name for it, but it's like applying force and then letting out and then applying force again. Maybe ballistic stretching, I'm not sure. But like that's largely something I do partner based. But I was making sure Salem knew the difference because they're going to hurt themselves otherwise. Even when they're not training with IBE or when they're not training with me, they're training on their own at the gym at like 5 a.m. after a shift, which great, do that. But I needed to know that they weren't going to come back to me wounded, which is something that is unique to someone who's learning how to coach. Yeah, during this home session, they didn't have gloves. I don't really like wearing the big bulky gloves, so I wore my WT gloves, which later proved to be a bit of an issue for me. But Salem wore my like point stop gloves. They like did little chill pad work. So I wanted to get an idea of what Salem was doing in like sparring because they hadn't started sparring yet, but I was like, let's just do touch sparring. I just want to see how you react to me, because they were saying that they feel like they're not really weaving and dodging much. So I was like, okay, I just want to see how you react and what you do. I wasn't really trying to do anything back to Salem. I was trying to observe. So like they clocked me in the face a few times, and that's when I was like, you know, maybe gum shields. But yeah, at one point as well, they like, because I sort of, when I wear my point stop gloves, your thumbs are all like tucked in and stuff, so you still have the rounded area. So when I like had my default kind of like half open guard, at one point they kind of just slammed into my thumb here, and I had to wear my de Quervain's brace again because this is my de Quervain's hand. Which, for those of you who don't know what de Quervain's is, it's sort of like a combination of carpal tunnel, but it also has the thumb and the wrist incorporated. So this is like for my thumb support. So I've been sleeping in this for the past few nights. And I had it on a call during work with my boss because it's sort of repetitive strain when I type. And it was just, it was funny because the director I report to for this contract at the university, she was like, you know, I don't really see you as a fighter. And I love it because it's like I don't know if I have a full girly pop personality, but so I very much have that vibe where I'm saying really intelligent things, but I'm saying it in such a casual and fun manner that you don't really understand that that's what's happening. And when I say, oh yeah, I was like training my fighter with boxing the other day around my Taekwondo training, and they're like, what? Oh, it's funny. At least the people at Sal's workplace and everyone else know that they're fighting. So that was like another example of like training with beginners can be dangerous because they had exuded a lot more force than I had intended for touch sparring, which I communicated what that meant, but like people just don't know what their gauge is. They don't know when they're going full ham or not. They can't get the percentages in. That's something you learn with experience. So yeah, then I got Salem to test some combos on me, and I noticed that they struggle to react to stuff that comes on an angular movement. So like uppercuts, they're still struggling with uppercuts a little bit. They need to get this angular movement and like get more hooks in. And I noticed that they were struggling with hooks because they're not really moving their feet to move into the hook. It's a lateral movement. It's like when I do a side kick in Taekwondo. A side kick, when you do it in line work and really technical, most people will still kick to the front of them, but it's not a 180-degree kick. It's to the corner because you're stepping off to the side to kick someone like in the stomach, ideally, maybe in the head, but usually in the stomach. You're stepping off to the side, so it's like a 45-degree target, and a hook works in a similar way. You need to get offline with the individual so you can reach them. Then we switched to some pad work so I could get a bit more of a gauge of their strength, and I basically was like, do as many reps as you can, but like show me them as hard as you can. And I was trying to pick out and nitpick form critiques as we went. So like with the uppercuts, they weren't squatting into the uppercut. They were just kind of like digging up and scooping up. It's like, no, you got to squat into it because you're generating force through your hips at the same time. And then this was where I taught them about like staying off the line. And I also taught them the concept of stack the joints. So I did during lockdown, I know a guy who hopefully is going to do a With Respect interview because he's really cool. I went to do like kickboxing, like Thai boxing. I can't even remember exactly. I think it was Thai boxing style sort of taster session at his house during lockdown. He described my hooks to me and he was like, your hooks are very Taekwondo. And I was like, yes, I know. You know I do Taekwondo. What do you mean they're very Taekwondo? And apparently like the alternative to stacking the joints is this thing called stir the pot. So like you imagine you got a big cauldron and you're mixing it with a spoon, and this is kind of how they hook. Whereas I hook like this. And it's kind of hard to tell if you don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm assuming people watching this are mainly fighters or anyway. But basically, the idea of stacking the joints is when you make contact with a punch, you want it to be with these two knuckles here. Just these two. Because anatomically, most people's knuckles are not all in a line. These are the first point of contact, and these two are just like extra when it sinks in and collapses a little bit. But this is the point, is you don't want them to collapse at all because you're going to stack your joints. So your two knuckles are in line with your wrist bone, are in line with your elbow, are in line with your shoulder when that's at like full extension. When you're doing a hook, the shoulder doesn't apply, but as many joints as you have stacked, that prevents your wrist crumbling and going like, or like in any injury mitigates it, and no loss of force. So I told Salem, this is one of those preference-based things. If you prefer to stir the pot, great. But also, if you stack your joints, it creates an effect that's kind of like, you know, when a tornado is moving towards you, it looks like it's standing still. And that's because your brain can't gauge the difference when it's straight on. So someone will find it harder to react to a shot if you're coming linearly with the stacked joints, because it can't really tell how far away you are, and those microseconds matter when you're talking about combat situations. In the end, they kind of liked doing the stacking the joints, and they've been practicing that one since, and I do think they have been called out at boxing now for, like, when I did sparring at the next session, they, like, got called out and being like, this is where you learned it, that's where you got it from, and I'm like, yeah, they're doing extra training with me. So yeah. And we worked on some combos and stuff, and then we moved up to the roof to do some things that I'm doing this video, and then I'm going to do an after fight video, and I feel like I want to mention it in the after fight video because I don't want to, like, everyone knows that I'm making this video, so I don't want to, like, give away the strap. So tune in next time for part 2. Make sure you subscribe. But we moved up to the roof to do some extra training, and then we cooled down and, like, had a brew, and it was all very nice. Then Sal took a lot of the pointers I gave them, and I've been messaging them back and forth, gave them a few drills to practice, and a few things to work on. But, you know, just keep doing it, build up your stamina, keep training. The next event was, like, I think a week and a bit later, and it is the press conference. So I got a lot of footage from the press conference, and I'm mainly going to let that speak for itself. But essentially the press conference is when all the fighters get matched up together. Not everyone was actually able to attend because some people had work to be at and some people had shifts, but again, they did it, like, luckily the venue was like seconds from my flat. I walk around a corner. I live in the city centre of Manchester. I walked around a corner and I was at the venue. So the fact that the event officially started the second I finished work, and I work from home, so, like, I basically grabbed my gear, had like a bottle of water poured and walked, and I went to the venue to the press conference. And they joked that like there's never any actual press at the press conference, but they knew I was making this video and they could see me sat there like the front of the room, and I was like, hi. I had wanted to talk to more people who I hadn't met at the press conference yet, but it was just sort of a vibe where it was mainly friends and like people who already knew each other were chatting, and I was there to support Salem again. So there was me and this other lady who were there to support Salem. She had to leave before they actually started doing the actual press conference, but she was really sweet. So I sort of was like a ghost at this event because I was there to document it. So I got most footage of most of people's interviews. I had to record this on my phone, but I had my little like travel vlogging rig with my microphone. So Sal had their own microphone that was from the venue when they did their talk, but they also had my little microphone there, so it was quite fun because some people were like, what's that purple thing? And it's like, oh, I'm rigged up. So that felt professional, even though the actual clips are on my phone, so they're not as good as usual. So yeah, just enjoy this little compilation of the people who were at the different fights.
I'm in about 2017, many moons ago, and we're all like, let's face it, industry, we all like to do extracurriculars, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? We graduate with A, B's and C's, you know what I'm saying? And we're like, well, we understand that, and we get that, but like, we also want to instill other elements in that as well, things that maybe it might give you a focus for, a goal to strive towards, and if those things continue, they can become habits and lifestyle habits and general changes, so that you've got two things that you do, and you've got the beauty of both sides of what we do in the industry really. You've got the carnage, but you've also got some focus, so it's not just one way. Ricky suggested doing boxing, and we're all like, all right, calm. He used to do kickboxing back in there.
Just really enjoy fighting.
He was like, should I do this with my hat on? I was like, no, mate. He's like, yeah, it's like, well, I'm like, exactly, mate. But yeah, so we started doing our first event in an iconic venue in Leeds called the Corn Exchange. The goal was, and has remained, to take bar staff, hospitality staff, put them on an 8-week training camp that we provide, put them under close training and close inspection to improve week on week, camp to camp if you repeat it, and then have you all show out in front of your friends, families, peers, an incredible event. And that Corn Exchange one really was a crowning moment for us, where we saw just how much that the industry craves something like this. As much as we're a social industry, we can be quite antisocial, quite in our own pockets, so we class this as a glorified networking event, an opportunity for people to mingle with people outside their circles and just celebrate hospitality as well, man. So that's how it's been since then. And then since then, we put Big Boy Pants on, we did Leeds Town Hall. That was gangster.
That was it.
Go on, if you heard that, do you want to repeat that?
That is the event that Dom beat me at.
But then from there we came back. We actually did an event in Manchester. We did it at Victoria Baths, which was really well attended. We enjoyed doing that. But then COVID came and we decided to re-establish ourselves in Leeds, which we did. Been doing successful events over there, and we thought it's about time to go back to Manchester. Ironically, as that works out, something happened in Leeds which made us sort of up our game, but then perfectly Manchester came at the right time for us in order to be able to show that we have, and obviously that we had to instill the commitment which shows that it can be done. And that's one thing that we've been really, really proud of from the jump, really, is just what's been coming through, and it feels like another building block that we can set the foundation to go again with IBE. So it's really inspiring, and it just pumps us up a lot more. So very grateful for that as well. So thank you all who's took part. Ricky's going to be discussing about the training elements now.
Yeah, I was meant to say some thank yous as well, but you've already done that. So.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, as Ben touched on there, IBE has had a pretty tough year, in all honesty. We're meant to, by this point, have already done 2 events. A ladies only event in March, and then our IBE summer event in Leeds, both of which we had to cancel, unfortunately. It's been really, really tough to get the brand going again, and as Ben said, we're trying to use Manchester as that springboard, and I'm not going to say it's been easy, but you guys who've participated are making it a lot easier for us. I find it incredibly humbling to come across the Pennines as a Yorkshireman and stand in a Manchester venue and teach you all how to fight, and you're all just there looking at me and putting in 100% effort. So for that, you need a round of applause.
Hello everyone. How's everyone doing? Well, unfortunately my opponent hasn't shown up, and I did promise that I was going to talk a lot of shit. So I do have to, honour my promise.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do then, I'll just put the question mic down.
No, you can ask your questions first.
I think it's a good sort of stance on how the fight night's going to be. If this many people turn up to watch us talk bollocks, then how many are going to watch you turn up fight?
1 million people.
Watching at home. How's training going?
Training is good because I'm learning, but also I'm putting in a lot outside of training. I've got a little bit of background in boxing. It's only been drills. Monday was my first time sparring and I was rocked pretty hard. So my fingers increased. It was a humbling experience to say the least, so my training has increased a lot. My prediction is first 2 rounds, I'll bore you lot, I'll be honest. But then third round, I'll let a bit loose. He'll taste the canvas. Everybody will cheer. I'll get ego boost. Honestly, that's all right, Talon, mate. Listen to my words. You are weak. You mean nothing. I will show you how it's done, mate.
Any final words to your opponent?
Nice bit, mate.
Cool, mate.
Would you like to respond?
Wow, this is getting there, isn't it?
Are you doing any training elsewhere?
No, I'm going to the gym though, if that counts then.
That is doing training elsewhere. So what are you liking about training?
Just getting involved really, just getting a bit fitter, getting a bit more athletic and just being a slob.
I think that's what it's about, man. What do you think of that man opposite you?
Who's he?
I'm Nathan, bitch.
Okay, we'll get back to that. Do you want to tell us a bit about your charity?
Yeah, so my charity is the Lullaby Trust, which helps support families who have suffered with the loss of a child due to Ehlers Danlos Syndrome, which is what my mum and dad unfortunately went through when I was younger. So they used to be twins, so that's something that's very close to home.
Have you got anything you'd like to say to the guy over there that you don't know his name?
Just be cautious, that's all. Just...
Alright, a pantomime reaction, I love that. We've never had that as well, just be cautious. Just like, dry your hands before you press the button. Right, what do you feel you have to be cautious of? Have you seen your opponent train? What if you've got
To be honest, man, he's not going to be able to catch me.
obviously you think that you've got the speed element. What is it that makes you believe that you've got the speed? Keanu Reeves.
Good cardio, that's my strong point. I've been training a few years already. I did take about 18 months off. When I saw the opportunity to get back into it by this, it was kind of no excuses, let's go. It's not necessarily about motivation, it's about discipline, so just getting up and going for it. So I own a cocktail bar and...
You not mentioned it.
that first year of opening the bar was quite difficult, and going into lockdown, like my mind was going in overdrive quite a lot. I hadn't been used to actually stepping away from work and taking time to myself. I'd also, I think probably like most people in hospitality, experienced a little bit of like finding it hard to disconnect. And yeah, personally went through a few low points. And what do you do when you go through a low point? Get a dog. So I adopted a rescue dog from Romania, and that was possibly the best thing that ever happened to me. Sort of gave me a new focus, but then also a way to kind of appreciate that you just have this little being that doesn't really care about who you are as a person, you know, whether you've had a good day or not, just this unconditional love. Kind of changed the course of my life a little bit. So for me, the organisation that we got our dog from, they struggle on a daily basis for food, medication. There's dogs in, you know, really bad states in Romania that they pull from the streets. Even my dog herself, she would have died if she hadn't been pulled from the streets and then sent over to us. So yeah, they struggle daily for food and medication, but also at the same time, they basically just have a shed which they rent, and they're in a moment where they could potentially lose that shed, which means that they cease to exist. So they're trying to raise £15,000 to secure that shed so they can just continue. So I'm raising money for that. So far, I've raised £400. So I'm going to continue to see if I can get some more money back. It's Mossmania. So yeah, they send dogs over from Romania to the UK, and just the opportunity for another dog to change someone else's life, I want to contribute to that.
Kiss her. That's later.
Okay.
It's so funny though, because like you only took part because you brought her. That's correct, isn't it?
It's like I'm smart.
Or like you wanted to plan, do you wanted to scrap with? But then you've been putting loads of graft in, and then you turned up the notch when we got you all to punch the punching bags, and you wanted to crack her, which proved you. And then you were like, oh, well, I want to crack you, and then we were like, well, let's just let him crack.
Yes. Bullied me into going to the first training, but I ended up absolutely loving it. It was something that I've mentioned to people in the past, and they always go, you can't do that, you're too much of a princess. And now it feels kind of nice to be doing actually quite well at it as well. Me and Holly bumped into each other at a different, I don't know what you call it, boxing place.
Boxing gym.
I was trying to be snidey about it. But yeah, so it's been going well, and I'm enjoying it, and it's a nice community as well.
You are turning up to every session, both of you, and putting in 100%, and I know you're both doing bits at a different boxing place. What do you think of that lady opposite you, now that she's your opponent?
It's going to be a battle of the titties anyways.
Should we make a belt called the Battle of the Titties, man?
Please.
Yeah.
If you sanctioned it.
Yeah.
Alright.
We said you can, so you can.
Alright, it's in the works. What colour would you like it?
Pink, innit?
Yeah, why not?
Thanks, Sam.
Areola.
I'll send you invoice.
A gentle blow.
It's got out of hand, this, isn't it?
I think what's mad, right, is we're nattering, but every now and again there's just glimpses of each other, and it's like Love and Daggers, which would be a great brand for gin. Love and Daggers. But yeah, like it is. It's like, how are you gonna like remain cordial during this time? Are you just gonna give each other dead arms and shit?
Well, no, we've already been asked if we're going to pull our punches for the match, and like, we don't pull our punches with anything. We'll kiss in between, but we're going to go hard.
Yeah.
So, if you didn't plan it from the start, because you didn't plan it, why did you want to fight your mate?
She's just really pretty, and that's annoying.
That's why I wanted to fight Dom.
How have you found training?
I absolutely bloody love training. Like, it gives us something to do that isn't drinking, which is really important. Like, Hannah and I have both been on a bit of a journey this last year. I'm finding, like, it gives me more energy, not less. Hanging out with everyone is fun. Keeps me from annoying Palmer in the bar, which is great.
Doesn't, you still fucking do it.
She's not drinking now. I'm not drinking, so it can't.
You stopped drinking?
Well, yeah, I'm drinking soda water tonight.
Love that.
Respect, yeah, fair play. I remember because like we went to have a ganders round numbers, and then you just like potted in, and then Dom like collared you and was like, yeah, you'll do it, won't you? And you were like, no, but then wouldn't stop asking questions about it. And then next minute you rocked up and was like, are you in? It's like, well, yeah, maybe. And then you were like, well, I don't know. And then both you were here now, 5 weeks later, on the journey, about to fight for a belt, battle of the titties. How's it feel? I think you're actually pretty fast. Make some noise, please, for the final. The TV Queen, really, that's all over Fitzgerald.
The part of the night where we're having an interval, so I'll take this opportunity just to say where we're sort of at with our charity donations so far. Some of you can't even be asked to reply to me, so this figure is not factual, it's actually higher. But
No, the figure, this is lower.
yeah, this is not factual, it's actually...
It's gonna be.
Yeah, I think I said that.
You said this figure is higher, so the figure you give.
Are you guys gonna fight?
Anyway, right, so far we are above £2,500. Fight number 7, representing Kodo Manchester, Salem,
And their opponent, representing Suntory Global Spirits, Live Lightning.
It's quite good shaking legs, isn't it?
Yeah, you just kind of go with it.
We're just discussing leg swinging.
Yeah.
Right.
It just hits good, doesn't it? Yeah.
proper Westlife seats. How are we doing?
Chilling.
Are we enjoying training?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been dead good. Like, I've always wanted to do something like this because I never thought I'd have the chance to. So, like, you know, getting able to get in, surprise myself every single day, it's like every single time I go in, I'm like, yeah, sick.
Did we enjoy sparring on Monday?
Oh yeah, definitely. I appreciate the fact that I got punishment bastards, but, you know, it happens.
I think there is, Dom will agree with this, there's no better feeling than getting punched in the face.
I want to push someone in first.
So you enjoying training overall?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said, it's just something which you get to get the opportunity to do. You don't get chances like this very often, so, you know, go big or go home.
What's the reason for wanting to do it?
Well, I mean, there were a couple of reasons really. One of the reasons is because it's tied into the charity that I'm supporting, which is Ehlers Danlos Syndrome UK. So in the middle of lockdown, I was sat in a rheumatology office crying my eyes out because I got diagnosed with Ehlers Danlos Syndrome. Type 3 hypermobility. My specific subset of condition is between 1 in 600 people and 1 in 900 people in the UK. And it meant that growing up, I was wondering, like, why am I so unwell? It's a connective tissue disorder, which means that my joints like to pop out. Pain is something which happens every single day. And I got told that possibly by like 40, I'd be in a wheelchair if I don't sort myself out, if I don't look after myself. And then, you know, I had rough years. You know, I used to work on a walking stick. I'm sure a few people in this room have seen me do it. And I have days where I can't get out of bed. I have days where I'm on a mobility aid, and then I have days where I'm a piece of Laffy Taffy and I can, like, just chill out and have fun. So the reason why I wanted to do it is because I'm actually luckier than a lot of people that I know with the exact same thing as me. So I'm doing it because they can't. And like I said, go big, go home.
Amazing. So, what do you think your opponent's opposite you?
She's good.
Why did you say you're like that? You mentioned trash talk.
That is the best ever trash talk, actually.
She's good.
Would you like to add anything?
See you there.
Fighting talk, that. Let's go.
Next, you're going to give like the postcode, make sure she gets there in an Uber, alright?
Yeah, drop your location.
Drop a
yeah.
pin.
Yeah, set location.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've been an ever-present at training so far, haven't you? How have you found training?
Really enjoyed it. I came from did martial arts growing up, so I wanted to get back into it for a long time.
What martial art?
Karate.
Bruce Lee.
Love it.
And I stopped that when I was about 12, but I did achieve my black belt, so...
Can I just say, in whatever martial art, achieving your black belt is fucking massive. Round of applause. Whatever martial art is achieving is absolutely huge. So,
Respect, fair. So then what made you want to step in the ring?
Probably a bit of a nutter and not afraid to be hit. And also wants to challenge myself, I think, again, tying into the charity that I'm fundraising for, which is Mermaids UK. A lot of people can't live their authentic lives and obviously have daily struggles. So I wanted to put myself into a position where I wasn't necessarily fully comfortable. I think in the trainings it shows I sometimes struggle with the stance, trying to get out of that straight punching mindset. So giving myself something to work towards, and also fitness, I'm big into that. So yeah, I just want to have a scrap.
Yeah.
What do you think of your opponent and what do you think the scrap's going to be like?
Well, I'm glad that we're height matched. Jesus Christ. The thing on them too, like, I got hit on the top of my head the other day and I was like,
it's a good feeling, isn't it?
yeah, but like there, I was like, oh, that's just mean.
It was close, you know. We didn't know where we were going to go with it.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be a good matchup. I think we're pretty well in the fitness ground and stuff like that, but I mean, I'm going to go hell for leather. I'm not going to be scared to get punched, so just be prepared for the pressure.
I mean, I've got nothing to lose particularly, so here we go.
Go and say that again.
Just a match.
That's a good clap about that. It's good. Alright, calm. Well, we put you towards the end of the bill because we do believe that this is going to be a proper top-notch scratch as well to take us towards the end of the night. So we're expecting fireworks and there's a respect there, but there's also underlying vice. I like it.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to have your face up, please make some noise. If we have
Oh, fucking hell, right, go on.
Sorry, I've got a fucking special toaster, am I? Oh, one more. Flash it on.
Do you want us to do a silly one as well?
Alright?
Yeah?
No.
One more time.
Just flash for spotting a little bit. Yeah.
Good bit of eye contact, this, isn't it? Yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah?
I'm having a nice time.
Innit? Yeah? Fancy seeing you here. Just do this more often.
Pilot's gone off.
That was doing that tonight.
You get knocked out, get you? There'll be one in there.
And your opponent represented
Are you enjoying training?
Loving it, absolutely loving it. Loving it, no, absolutely. I think the reasons that everybody's just put forward that they're doing this for is really heartwarming. I've never met such a genuine group of people. Everybody's absolutely fantastic, such lovely people. The coach has been second to none, and I'd come back for a second year and do it all again because you've all been amazing. Just listening to you all talk about it has been absolutely fantastic. It's really, really nice.
I think everyone who's part of this camp, mate, would agree when I say you are probably one of the nicest people I have ever met. Thank you. You are also absolutely smashing through your ticket target, attending pretty much every session, and you're smashing through every session as well. So well done to you, mate. What's your favourite part about the training camp?
I think, like everybody's, mine's been sparring, just getting down nitty-gritty, getting into it. It's been really good, but meeting everybody and listening to everybody, where we're all in the industry, we're all doing this for the same reasons. We all go through the same sort of, not the same, but the trials and tribulations of being in the industry. cog in a machine, working your ass off all the time, and I think listening to everybody's stories has been absolutely, it's been really eye-opening, it's been lovely. I will say one thing, there's two people in here that are from the Midlands. You're from Nottingham and you're from Leicester. If all three of us win, I'll chuck 50 quid. Where are you from? Where are you from? Rugby. Right. If you three win and I win, I'll chuck 50 quid into each of your charities. Why have you got a mullet?
You said
that?
I said, why have you got a mullet? I don't know.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? I'll ask you this, mate. Pick a number between 1 and 3. 3 it is.
I mean, what's he clap back?
Nice suit, lad. Is that like a 2-piece, yeah? There's 2 of it, yeah. Yeah, so you're 2-piece off, Don mentioned to me a while ago, back when we were in Liverpool, we were trying to get one sorted there, never came through. And then as soon as this one came up, but you were like, I was like, first one, like, yeah, let's do it. I said I was going to fight him actually initially. And then it bombed. And I exploded, so it's like, coincidence, you know what I mean? And I just like, it's fucking sick, you know, like, I moved here last year, I met almost everyone in this room recently, like, the community's fucking sick, like, even just through passing, just seeing people come and rocked up to do this, like, that I've met through the last year is fucking belter.
How have you found the training?
Shit, man, I'm so out of shit, but it's fucking, I used to scrap a while ago and I took about 5 years off and it fucking shows, let me tell you, man. I suck my tits off.
Are you finding you getting back into the groove though?
Yeah, man, you got like muscle memory kind of stuff, like it's always still there a little bit, but just, yeah, it's the fucking gas tank, man. Like I've been smoking for 10 years, it shows, man. I feel it in my lungs every day.
You're not cool.
And why you heckling me?
It feels right, it feels right.
It does feel right, yeah, fair enough, yeah.
What do you think of your opponent?
Honestly, man, like we said, there were a few guys that when we did the first session, especially that first session, I think you said, and you didn't see me sparring. I saw him sparring, man. The first ever session, we were stood right next to each other. I was doing the kind of like, this guy's next to me going, Christ! Stood next to each other, match your pace, man. Jesus! So yeah, like say with you, I had an inkling, like a few guys it could have been. Saw the big shout out, man. Hey! We'll scrap in the street tomorrow, don't worry about it. But yeah, Liam was definitely one of the people that I thought it could have been, man. Like he's handy, man. He knows what he's doing. I've seen his hands, like yeah.
You think he's a good matchup?
Yeah, definitely like 1 of the 3 could have been. Absolutely.
Class.
Yeah, so mine is a lesson on charity called Ataxia UK. It's like progressive motor neuron disease, similar to like ALS, you know, the whole ice bucket challenge thing everyone's done years ago. It affects someone very close to me, so we've done a few things for it in the past, so I thought I'd just keep the ball rolling and just carry on with representing the homies, do you know what I mean?
We've been through all the bouts except for one. The big inseparable throughout. So it only makes sense to make them inseparable inside the squared circle.
Inside each other.
Representing Bunny's Karaoke, James!
What colour is it?
I'm their opponent, representing JJ's Junior Jackson. Oh, I didn't get it. Well, he must have known. Oh, kick it out. Oh,
Got to do it blue and red top line. Nailed it.
All jokes said when you were getting out saying, great name. So, main event at night. We've not been in Manchester since 2019, and your main event, pal. How does it make you feel?
Fucking terrified, honestly. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really pumped. It's been really fucking fun. And you know, there's a lot of talks with everyone being like, "Oh, who are you, partner?" I've been pushing it off, being like, "I'm not too sure." Like Liam said earlier, there's a lot of people I kind of looked at and was like, might have been him, might have been him, might have been Hannah.
Should be, mate.
More than mine. Yeah, so it's been nice to kind of get to it, and obviously the names are fucking whittling down. We're looking at each other, being like, "It's gonna be us, isn't it?" So it's fun, it's fun.
So, what do you think now that you know it is him?
I mean, I've got a lot of love and a lot of respect for Palmer, genuinely. I'm not just saying that for the camera, like, I care about him a lot, but I'm gonna fucking back him, so.
Sorry, I thought you were saying something.
So there's a lot of people here, grew up, played a lot of sport. I was fucking really fit before the time I was like 16, 17. And then I realised, because I was tall, I could get served for fags and beer, so it's nice to get back into a physical kind of side of it again. It's nice to, you know, it's done a lot for me personally, mentally. Again, I feel like I'm repeating a lot of people. I'm not drinking as much, I'm eating a lot healthier, and it's really showing. It's really showing.
I think it's like what me and Ben see is the progression. You might not see it from like week 1 to week 5, but we see it, and Dom will see it, and Luke will see it. And this goes for absolutely every single one of you, including yourself. We see the progression, and we see that making those little habit changes, stopping drinking or not drinking as much, or walking to work and not getting the bus, like it benefits you. And yeah, man, you're smashing it, you're smashing through training. And aside from really fighting and what you're doing it for, you should just be proud in that fact that you're smashing 2 sessions a week, 3 sessions a week, 4 sessions a week, whatever it is, man. Be proud of it. So well done.
Well, yeah, go ready.
Tell us about your why you got involved.
Again, I got fucking scouted by Dom, and it was kind of a, do you want to do it? Do you want to bang someone out? That was his exact words, by the way. Fucking try. And I kind of jumped the opportunity. I've got a mate over in Leeds that's done it before. Jack Weldon.
Jack. Everyone just wants to fight him for some reason.
Yeah, so I was just like,
nice. Tell us a bit about your charity, mate.
So I am raising money for Melanoma UK, which is a skin cancer charity. Again, a lot of people have been affected by cancer, and that's why they're raising money for charities. My dad, when I was younger, basically got a 20% chance of living. They offered him a drug that they've never used before. He was basically a guinea pig, and he kind of went, fuck it, why not? If I die, I die. And he basically got a lot of care given for him. He still has this, a lot of you have seen my dad and met my dad before. You'll never see his legs above his knee, because he's got where his mole was. He's got like this, what I can only describe as like a hamburger scar. It's like 3 layers down from his skin. It's fucking sick, like, you know. But yeah, they did a lot for my dad and my mum. I was a bit young to remember it, but you know, it still affects me, and I wouldn't be the person I am without him, so.
Love it. Okay, so finally, let's finish on it. Have you got any words for your opponent?
Mind games already. What have you got to say?
Big PP.
I'll just see him in the ring around. I think what was classy is through the last chat, I couldn't help but look over and both of you just like not looking at each other. The dawn of realisation of fuck, it is actually us now, isn't it? And the bad thing is, like, every week you two just proper like are like scrapping each other anyway, do you know what I mean? Pushing each other further, so it was sort of written. Did you think it was going to be?
I had a feeling.
To be fair, right, Palmer said to me on week one, if you put me and Jake together, we'll sell out of them.
There's so much to think about, really. I mean, remember when he was sick of training?
He was sick as well.
He was sick of training as well.
Yeah, he was first.
So he was sick and he was sick. He's just modelling his game on you.
Just copy.
I think yours is public, Jake.
Yeah, fair. No, man, I think obviously you know each other inside out in that ring already.
Not inside.
I thought, as soon as I said it, I thought they were going to try and pick up on that. And I went,
Try.
I thought inside, and I was like, oh, the ring. Which is inside.
Nah.
Should we just, you want to tell us about the charity change?
So I'm fighting for East Anglia Air Ambulance. A lot of you may not know I am unfortunately a southerner. But it's a charity that was very close to my nan's heart while she was here, and I just thought I'd continue that legacy.
Yeah,
Alright, who's ready for story time with Ben Random? Well, one of the things that I love about being an adopted, well, not an adopted man, you know, I'm going there, but stepping over here and getting to play over here a lot, right? What I do like is having a natter with folk when they're on the breaks. And you get to come through, have a little natter and that, and seeing the change over the past 4 weeks, seeing that glint in your eye, like seeing the buzz of like, you know, you're changing your habits, you're walking, you're this, you're that, do you know what I mean? Like, it's proper class to see. And it's knowing that you've got that drive, that you're putting that in for, and seeing that focus, that commitment to it, you've gone all in, mate. So I just want to say that that's really sick.
I was an absolute fat fuck before this whole event started. But up to now I've lost 12 kilos. Big props to Dom, who punched me in the head every day till I signed up for this thing. And also Mark, who's training me on the side as well. Shout out to him. Everybody training every week, just pushing each other. No egos at all. Everyone, if someone falls down, everyone picks them up, and it's just great to see in a room of people. Well done.
I'm excited for this one. Obviously, two super sound bastards working for the same.
Such a good sentence. Super sound bastards.
Working for the same company as well. I mean, is there going to be a bit of friction? Is there going to be a bit of a...
Bit of ring friction.
Foreskin for scene. No, is there going to be like a bit of like karaoke juniors, like, you know, like Bloods and Crips? Is it going to be like neutral Thomas Street beef and that, like one end to other and that?
Nah, loser keeps karaoke.
Do you want to repeat that?
Happily. Don't forget the juniors, I walk so you can run there.
I think we might have to do a Sorry Miss Jackson's belt. Sorry Miss Jackson! That's confirmed. Alright then, so we've had everything that's been done. This is the main event of the evening. We've got two heavy hitters representing yourselves. Get your sense against the wall, make some noise. We've got Jake the Mullet Nichols versus Alex the Two belts on the Resurrection return back to Manchester Monday the 18th of August. As you can tell, the banter's flowing. The missions are even more important as to why they're doing it, and this is why we need you to support them for their cause. Make sure you get a ticket, spread the word. Make sure it's an absolute lamp moment in the main room. Basically, there's a few tickets left, right? But not enough to say there's not a lot of tickets left. But there's a few tickets left. So just get spreading word, make some noise about it. You've seen the reasons, you want to support the cause, you want to see the action that's going to go down. We've got another 3 weeks, is it 2 weeks of training, 3 sessions, something like that. This is where the tension really does build between the opponents now. So trust me, if this is the feist and the buzz that's here, just imagine what it's going to be like on that night. So do come support, and once again, can we all make some noise for everyone who's taking part in this? We really appreciate you giving us the time, attention, focus, and listening and soaking it all in, and seeing the real reason why IBE is what it is and why it's took to the hearts of the hospitality. But what we always like to say is these are the hospitality heroes, these are the reasons why they're doing it, raising money for causes close to them. So thank you once again, thank you everybody. We'll see you when we see you, which will be Monday the 18th at Amber's. Get your centre ticket. IBE! IBE!
Sal's interview wasn't actually like that intensive. They told me later that they wanted to pee the whole time. Like they wanted to leave to pee and then they went, okay, we're starting now. So like, okay, I guess we're sat here for a couple hours now. They wanted to pee the whole time. So their short interview was like them wanting to go use the bathroom. But that's fine because we got the actual tea here. I did try and get a one-on-one interview with their opponent after the event, but it seemed like they were in a rush to leave because everyone was going on a bit of a bar crawl afterwards, which I'm going to say is a little ironic given the idea of the event is to like get people out of that excessive lifestyle, but I have no reason to believe they were excessive. I'm pretty sure a few people were like, oh, I've not had a drink since I started training, or I'm just gonna go out and have juice, which like great, because I feel like drinking non-alcoholic beverages is actually becoming more popular in the bar scene, and I'm hearing a lot of bartenders talking about it, so yay. But yeah, go have fun. They wanted to go, they didn't want to do an interview, they wanted to go and have some fun, so great. Do that. But I haven't been able to get an interview with them since because they like keep running away from me. I think they're not keen on cameras, but they're a lovely lady from what I can see. She has got a karate black belt, which we talk about in the venue. And what I know of karate people, I don't know how much it transfers to her own sparring style yet because I haven't really seen her sparring. I'm gonna see if I can find any footage to deconstruct as, you know, coach mode. But what I know of karate people generally, regardless of the style, they tend to favor the rear hand and they tend to be a little more switchy on their feet than the average boxer would. Like me with Taekwondo, we're talking about keeping one shoulder forward to like get as small a target area as possible is the goal, whereas a lot of boxers kind of square up sometimes and then they just go like that. So I told Sal to look out for that kind of stuff. I am curious because I don't know a lot about karate, and it does obviously depend on the style, but I think at least with Shotokan, when you do patterns, the goal is for your head to remain on the same plane. Like, unless you specifically have a technique that requires you to duck or like go higher or whatever, but like they really focus on keeping their head level. I don't know how that translates to sparring in karate, because like you must be able to dodge, and like I said with boxing, it's all the ducking and weaving and everyone's going like this the whole time. So I want to see how that blends with the styles, because obviously like I wasn't the only cross trainer in the room, didn't realize. I'll link to her charity and everything down below. I'm gonna link to Salem's charities, but also their opponent's charities, so like there's the information for you. If she has any links that she wants me to put in as well, then I'll add those into the description, but I haven't gotten into her, so I don't really want to speak on the opponent too much right now. There were a couple jokes, like there were a couple title belts, like they're not actually doing title belts, like it's just an event, it's for fun, it's all equal together, but they had like the titties belt, which is the two best friend girls who were like playing with lesbianism or something, and they were like saying, oh, I'm gonna beat you up, and then kissy face or whatever. And then there was another fight, which is like the headliner fight, which is between two guys who are from venues that are separate venues but owned by the same umbrella company, which is the Liars Club, I'm pretty sure. Is it Liars? Yeah, I think it's the Liars Club, because Salem used to actually work at the same umbrella company, but now they move venues because, you know, bartenders just tend to all just swap jobs, it would seem. But there's like a guy called Jake, I think it is. I keep forgetting these people's names. I'm terrible with new people's names when you train because it doesn't really come up when you're training. But Jake's got the floofy hair. He's a cool dude. I think he's from Junior Jackson's like karaoke or the other guy's from Junior Jackson's and he's from Bunny's Karaoke. I'm not sure, I'm getting it confused. You'll see on the graphic. But I trained with one of these guys and want more than the other, but it's like the headliner fight, and I can tell that it's going to be a really good fight because they're not experienced is the thing. They picked it up really quick. Not that not everyone's doing great, but these guys especially, like they went from 0 to 100 so fast. I'm quite impressed. So those are the things. There's only 2 non-man fights, but Sal's in the second one, which is like the last non-man fight. So I feel like that's a thing that they think it's going to be a good fight. So we'll see. I feel like Sal's being a bit of an underdog dark horse because you see like they're pretty short and people don't really expect them to be very aggressive. They're just kind of like a scrappy little gremlin or a raccoon as they would like to be described. But I feel like it's going to go really well. I knew from the start that it was going to be a good fight. We're getting closer to the present day now. I've got a few things that I'm gonna tell you have happened recently. Salem's been sending me little clips of them training and I wanted to just show a couple of them doing it on their own. I gave them 2 drills to do, and I'll show you one of the drills because they didn't send me a video of the other drill. The first one, well, we'll say is secret, even though it's not secret at all. One of the drills is I told them to practice their dodging because they're really worried about their dodging at the moment. I don't think they have too much of an issue to worry about after what I saw last night, but like generally they wanted to work on their dodging. To me, that seems like my coaching is working if they're getting better over time. So I said, get like a water bottle or something, or like at a push, like a 1 kilo dumbbell, get like an elastic stretch band, a resistance band, hang it up from either a pull-up bar or a power rack. Obviously you go at times where the gym's really empty, so it's easier to do that. Don't be a nuisance in the gym. And you grab it and you swing it and you use that as a thing to sort of react to dodging, because if you're shadow sparring, it's not actually a reaction tool. Your brain isn't registering a response to movement like when you're sparring with someone. If you're solo on your own, you need to sort of create a rig. I actually have a friend who has a video on how to make your own like punch bag, I think, out of a water balloon, and it's his like most viewed video ever. But yeah, I told them that, and what they sent me back was a video of them with a 5 kilogram dumbbell swinging from a resistance band near a mirror, which made me very nervous. It wasn't necessarily a risk to them in that they were so far away they weren't really reacting, because the idea is you're supposed to have like close calls, like shoo, and it was more like shoo. But they're working up their confidence with it. And they said that the 5 kilo dumbbell was to motivate them to do it better. And I'm like, maybe no. Maybe no. Because if anything, like you want to be able to get hit a little bit so you can get used to taking the impact from an unpredictable source. But I was like, next time, disposable water bottle. Safety first. You want to actually do the fight with teeth, please. But they're actually genuinely looking like they were improving. So I was like, okay, fair, whatever. That is your risk to adopt. So I'm going to wrap up now finally with where we went last night, which was to one of the non-optional Monday sessions. It is the 2nd week of sparring. So I hadn't been able to get to a sparring session with Salem yet. So now this is the boxing sparring session. This is the first session that I attended with Ricky. So I'd messaged Ricky a little bit. He's like the main coach from what I've gathered. He is the main guy who's in charge of actually training the fighters. He handles the majority of the coaching, and I could tell just from doing like this 1-2 hour session with him, he's a really experienced coach. So he gives off that aura of a man who knows what he's doing, has been in the ring a lot. Not that none of the other coaches do, but like I can just feel it exuding from him to a higher level. So like this is why he attends the non-optional sessions that everyone has to be at. And it was really good. I could see he was making sure everyone was working equally, and it was a really fun session. So we were all left to sort of our own devices. I walked in feeling less nervous than the first time because like I had been in this space before. I had a vague idea of what to expect from boxing now, but I was still a little nervous because there are loads of people that I haven't met yet, and it was actually kind of crowded in the space now I think about it. Like they had extra people who are not the fighters, so obviously the space was accounted for the fighters and the set coaches, but like I was someone who was unaccounted for a start. And there was some other people who are helping out who are really cool. There's a guy called Luke who I did a few of the warm-up drills with. He seems to be trained in something that is not just boxing. I think it was like Muay Thai. I think a couple of them have done Muay Thai because a few of them were like also kicking the heavy bags, and I really wanted to, but I was like, don't activate the legs or you're gonna have trouble all day turning off the legs. So like you can see me like in the far end, I was like helping Sal warm up, and I was doing a few dynamic kicks and doing dynamic stretches with that, but I wasn't actually like doing kick drills. I was just sort of getting myself limber and ready to move, because although boxing isn't a leg sport, you do use your legs to move around and react, so don't forget about that. People knew I was filming more this time because like it was a non-optional session, so everyone was there. I feel like a few people had spotted me at the press conference and were like, who's this bitch? And then Salem had confirmed in the WhatsApp group before the session, hey, my martial arts friend is still cool to come and record, right? And they were like, yeah, I might do a screenshot, we'll see. So everyone knew what was going on. So they saw me all arrive, set up the rig. There is literally only one spot in this dojang that you can actually fit a laptop and camera. And I was like trying to move people's belongings so I could have it like not dangerously hanging off the edge of this workout equipment bench thing. It might have been a plyo box, I'm not even sure. But I set it up and it looked good. And a few people came around and did like fun things, like pointing to the camera. The guy who set up the early session in the park actually came up and did like a do, which I thought was fun. So thanks for giving me a good B-roll, guy. I think he's called Nathan, isn't he? He's cool. He was like talking to me and Salem when I was like giving him little warm-up coaching advice and stuff. But I knew we'd be sparring this day, so I was excited. I was getting myself limber, but I was trying to make a point of not exhausting myself at all because I didn't know how intense the sparring was going to be. I've been told a lot about this thing called Shark Tank, which everyone I've talked to about Shark Tank who does martial arts, like traditional martial arts, has no idea what Shark Tank means. But we've all done the drill. We just didn't realize we've all done the drill, which is one person stays in and then they fight everyone. And the number of people made it so, like, luckily I was there because I evened out the groups, because now that they've been paired and know their opponent, they're not allowed to train with their opponent in classes. They can only train with everyone else. So to prevent risk of that overlap, they split them between the red corner and the blue corner. And one person was at work, so wasn't able to come to the non-optional session, which, like, you can say it's non-optional because, you know, participate if you're going to participate, but sometimes people just don't have a choice. So like I was there and I stood in on the blue side, which meant I was with Salem, who was in the blue side. I'm pretty sure. Was it the blue or the red? No, it's the red side because someone bled and there was a joke about bleeding. We'll get to that. But yeah, so we did the warm-ups on our own and everyone was kind of freestyling. And then we move on to the official warm-up. We were prepping for the fact that we were going to be sparring today. So it was called out, everyone do shadowboxing, and then when they tell you to swap, then you grab a partner and you do like little touch combos. Oh no, this wasn't the touch combos yet. This was like tap the shoulder. So you're there sort of like doing like this. People didn't have their gloves on yet, so it was open palm. At one point they called out open hand, guys, and I'm like, who is punching right now? But it's like tap the shoulder and try and avoid getting your shoulder tapped at the same time, and that's like fun. I got paired with Luke, who like does other martial arts, and like obviously my style is just coming through in everything I'm doing, because at one point I got called out and it was like, oh, crouching tiger, hidden dragon over here, and I was like, oh my god. I never knew how much of it was joking and how much of it was like a legit critique, like remember where you are, because I'm not trying to bring Taekwondo to the boxing gym. I'm trying to follow the rules. You know, breaking muscle memory is hard, like Dom said in his little chat that we had. It's hard to do, so I'm doing my best, but I was getting called out on it so bad. And there were a few things like that throughout the session, but they were all like really funny. So we did this warm-up drills, and then we ended up doing a combo, and the thing is, like, for whenever I paired people for the combo, oh, you can see Salem's opponent in some of this footage as well. She's the lady who's got the red wraps and the red shorts on and the blonde hair, so that's who Salem's going to be fighting. She's a lady called Liv. She's cool, from what I can tell. I haven't talked to her much, but she seems cool. And frankly, she's got a black belt in karate, so I respect anyone who has got a black belt in any art, so go ahead. But yeah, so we got paired up to do like a set combo, and like everyone I paired with seemed fine with it, but I just was focusing so hard on don't use your legs now that I was actually like making physical contact with people, because it had just been pad work the previous time I'd stopped by. So I was making so much of a conscious effort to be like, don't use your legs, don't use your legs, that I sort of didn't exactly follow the drill with the intended combination, and I got like a few shots to like people's face. And it looks so purposeful, but I promise it wasn't. And when I was doing like my shadow sparring, I was trying to like work my levels and do a few like blitzes and stuff and work that in, which they hadn't taught anyone the blitz. And like I was really working levels, and after a while he called out like, guys, make sure that you're using your highs and your low levels. So I felt like I was helping in that way. My whole goal is to be a good partner, so like people know what to expect. At one point I did a ridge hand strike during the drill, and I was like, that's not right. That's not right. Because ridge hand is literally like, if you do a full ridge hand, it like comes from down here and down onto the neck. So you're using like this tool of your hand, your inner knife hand. And I was like, don't do that. I have this thing where when I'm like training, I just go, no. And it's like me calling out myself. But because I have my gum shield in, because they are like, everyone train with your gum shield. Like in this instance, we didn't really need our gum shield for the warm-ups. So just like train with your gum shield so everyone can get used to having a gum shield and used to breathing with it in, which honestly, if you don't do that, it feels like you're suffocating. If you go into a competition fight and you realize that you want to blow your nose, but it's too late, you're going on right now, you don't really breathe for that fight, because you're supposed to breathe in through your nose, not through your mouth, and in through your nose, not through your mouth when you're like recovering. And then while you're like sparring, obviously ideally do that as well, but you end up kind of just being a mouth breather if you haven't got your nose available. So yeah, so then we moved on to kind of like like 30% strength sparring with everyone. You sort of pick a partner, you rotate, you go around. I think I got told off for doing like headshots too early because I'm in my brain, I'm a headshot hunter. Apparently they call burpees bastards in this session sometimes. So apparently, like, if you did something you weren't supposed to, then you ended up with burpees. And I ended up with some burpees. Not because I was purposefully ignoring, but just because my muscle memory took over. But, like, I was still trying to make sure, like, don't hit as often as you would hit. Don't hit as hard as you would normally hit. Because I'm not here to, like, scare off a newbie fighter. Like, I want people to see the invigoration of it. I want people to enjoy the feeling of getting into combat. And like, it's preparation, it's class, you're learning. You're here, specifically these people are here with the intention of going into a fight that is going to be not a brawl, ideally, but you know, it's going to be a hardcore fight. It's people are paying tickets to see it. It's going to be for a good cause. People are going in to potentially get hurt. Obviously you don't want to hurt anyone, but you accept the risk that you might get hurt. So if people suddenly go in on fight night and it's the first time that they got sort of like, I'm gonna hit him, like, you need to train for it because your body emotionally isn't ready for that. Like we talked about with the endorphin highs and then the drops. You need to practice for it. So I was trying to press these guys while struggling internally with maintaining within the rule set that I'm meant to be working within. But I know here that I'm also a very experienced combatant, and Taekwondo has hand techniques. I have all these techniques, but I'm used to mixing them in with other stuff under a different rule set. And I'm sort of like, it looks like I'm dropping guard sometimes, not because I'm dropping guard, but because I'm drifting between the intended guard, and you can see me sometimes fix it, and then like the guard that I do by default by muscle memory. So it looks like I'm dropping guard. And at one point later on, I just remember getting called out, like across the whole room. It was like, hands up Taekwondo! I was like, okay, sure. I get it, no worries, got ya. And I remember, like, because I came with a tank top on, and then I switched last minute to another shirt. Both my shirts said Taekwondo, but, like, I put on this other shirt, and I partnered with a guy who I hadn't partnered with the previous session I went to, and he read it, and good on him for actually reading it while we were partnering. He was like, oh, so, like, you do Taekwondo, do you? And I was like, yeah. But then he was like, it's like he didn't believe me, and then he went like, but you actually, like, do Taekwondo? Like, do you do it? And I didn't know what the question was really, like, because I just said yeah. But I was like, oh yeah, I'm like second dan competitive Taekwondo person. And he was like, oh. And I couldn't tell if he was like intimidated or like suddenly took me seriously, which is a weird thing to do. But like, I don't want to be like the whole, oh, a woman in the dojo. Like, it's stupid, but it happens. So like, I feel like I had nothing personally to prove, but also coming into the boxing arena where a lot of people who don't do Taekwondo think Taekwondo is only leg stuff. They, like, some people tell me they think we're not allowed to punch, which it's, I know the Olympics have put restrictions on punches compared to like ITF or Changhon style, like WT style has less punches now, but we still punch and we block and we use our hands. So like, some people genuinely think we don't. So I kind of felt like I had something to prove, but not for myself, for the community. But while also on an individual level, trying not to come across as like doing my thing. Because I want to learn boxing so I can help Salem with their boxing. That's the whole reason I'm in the room, is to help Salem with their boxing. I'm having fun with it, but it's not about me. So it was like a whole mental gymnastics thing for me. Looking for this footage now, I can see that Salem is like really enthusiastic and has got no fear in them. It's exactly what I want to instill in my fighters. Again, I worry about the control a little bit, but I feel like they're really getting better at their precision movements. They need to be able to respond to uppercuts. And everyone's like, how do you respond to an uppercut? And the answer is, get out of the way. Like, I can block it, but it seems the boxing block doesn't facilitate that. Maybe that's me being a beginner in boxing, not knowing how, but like, just get out of the way. Instead, they just, like, I kept sneaking it through their guard. You can see when we're like training together. There are a few guys here actually like challenging for me, so that was really good. I could sort of see, because they're in the transitional period, I could see the people who either had previous experience with fighting or were doing outside training themselves. And I could tell the difference between the people who were just coming to the mandatory classes and not much else. But some of them like landed some really solid shots on me. Some of them were like, I was struggling to respond in my natural way, so I was thinking a little bit more and I didn't know how to respond. Some of them full on clocked me at one point. We'll get to that in a second, but we're just practicing like the 30% swap around sparring here with a few restrictions that I may or may not have been following. The previous session I'd been to, I was just like an extra person in the room. We're just doing pad drills, and I only partnered with I think 2 people over the whole session, so no one really knew who I was yet. So then when we moved on to Shark Tank, this is when people really got to see what I can do, and like, it felt like a kind of like, this is who I am moment. Even though it's not about me, I was like, now you get it. And a lot of people were like, okay, so since That's Salem's coach. That's what's okay. Because Salem had been talking to these people like, oh yeah, she's a competitive Taekwondo martial artist. She's like got multiple championships. And like, it's just words. It doesn't actually mean anything. The only thing that's important is what you do in the ring in the moment you're in the present day. It doesn't actually mean jack. But they'd been saying all this stuff and I feel like they hadn't seen why yet. And like, I feel like some of the outside coaching I'm doing, I'm purposefully not trying to contradict what they're being coached in boxing, because it's a stylization thing again. So I'm like trying to communicate like, this is a preference thing, this is what you feel like better doing, this is what they might want you to do, blah blah blah, but here's some options for you to work with. So Shark Tank, I was in like a middle-ish spot in the row, so I got to observe a lot more before it was actually my time in the Shark Tank. Because of the numbers, I think the fight rounds are like 3 minutes, and because of the number of people we were working with, I think you ended up in the Shark Tank for between 3 and 3.5 minutes, maybe. The idea is the person in the Shark Tank is supposed to be defensive. They're trying to conserve their energy. Remember how I was saying different drills have different purposes? They're trying to like, this is to teach you not to be full throttle all the time, losing your mind, brawling, because you just physically don't have enough time and energy for that. You can get energy for that, and I'd like to think that my energy levels are a level where I could probably do that for a good solid like few minutes. But you can't assume that way. You have to be able to pick your shots and evade and get out of the way of people and let them run themselves into the ground. So that's kind of the point of Shark Tank. So when you have your turn rotating on for the person and you're being a shark, your job is to annihilate them, because you got like 5 or 6 more rounds to recover before you're on again. So you are supposed to press them, go hard, give them something to react to. And it's respectful to work them to the bone in this instance, because they are learning how to get through the weeds. And a lot of people will be like, oh, it's an absolute bugger, it's so difficult. And it's like, yes, it is difficult. They need to learn to cope with difficult, because this is for charity, this is for fun, this is for lifestyle. But in a real self-defense situation, which everyone who trains martial arts, regardless of the type of martial art, people argue is boxing a martial art. I don't really care. I classify it as. When you do any martial art, fighting, combat stuff, it is fundamentally self-defense. So you need to know that when you're in a real self-defense situation, you don't have an option to get out of it. And you need to be able to pull through, and with a degree of competence at the same time. So I'm not going to deconstruct absolutely everyone's sessions with the Shark Tank, because like, it's not fair to just like use their footage and stuff and like show their opponents off. But like, Salem and I are doing this for documenting Salem's journey. I'm going to focus on my Shark Tank and the rounds that I did for other people, and then Salem Shark Tank. The thing that really annoys me is obviously the camera's set up. It's not a big obvious camera. It's got my travel friendly rig, so it's a little Diddy thing connected to a laptop. It's like my tiny OBSBot camera that I did a video on my other channel, DebbersDo Digital. It's small. It's like that small. So you can't really like see it, and you're not really aware of it. And when you're training, you're not really aware of it. Like, I just set it up and I let it run. I don't even think about it. But that means people were blocking the camera during the majority of my Shark Tank round and some of Salem's Shark Tank rounds, and we can't see the majority of mine versus Salem's rounds, which is like so annoying. But whatever, it's no one's fault, it just happens. But you can still see, but just deal with the fact that you're going to be looking through some people's legs. A few highlights that I remember from doing my rounds for other people. The first one I went on was with it's quite fun fact. So there's Salem with the split hair, and then there's another person with split hair who you can see in the footage. That person is the brother of their ex-partner. So like, that was unplanned. They didn't know they were going to be there. They just turned up on the day, and it's like, oh, okay, hi. Which kind of proves my theory that Manchester and also the bar industry between Manchester and Liverpool are just kind of incestuously interlinked. Everyone knows everyone via like 1 degree of separation. But I remember like, I went on the round with that other person, the brother, and I remember I was sort of going in on it and they weren't really hitting back. And I feel like they were just kind of lagging, like not knowing how to respond to me, because I am like an experienced fighter and everyone's like thinking like, oh, what's going on, which I get, makes sense. But I remember Dom called out like, respect him, hit him back, and I was like, oh yes, respect me, yes. Not that I was being disrespected, I didn't feel disrespected, to be clear, but it was nice that people were like cognizant of that. It's a very pleasant environment is what I'm attempting to communicate here. It's because like, in martial arts, right, it's a solo sport. You are in it for you. You are defending yourself. So the idea of self-defense is sometimes you do it in defense of others. It's part of the Taekwondo if it's to defend others. But it's you alone on the mat there, right? Or on the floor in this instance. But there are 2 types of fighters. There are combative and there are collaborative. And you would think in fighting, You want the combative, but you don't. We're collaborative because we're learning together. We're all in this space to grow because we're training. If you're at a competition, then yeah, you've got an opponent, but it's only while you're actively against them in the ring, being scored, being matched, whatever. But then when you come off the mat, you're all friends and it's great. So this is a nice collaborative environment is what I'm trying to say. Everyone was supportive. So sometimes you get feedback and people feel like they're being like targeted or called out. It's not about that. It's literally just we're calling out what we see in the moment. There's no emotions attached. Every single time I've seen a coach do something like that, that's literally the whole point. But it felt nice. It felt being like, yeah, hit me back, come on. Like, because people almost feel scared to hit me because they're like, oh no, I'm so sorry. Like, you clock someone in the face and a newbie will react like, what? And like, I just keep punching and people didn't expect that. Yeah, looking at Salem's fights here, I feel like their problem is they're not guarding their head. The thing is with Sal is like, Sal's shorter than a lot of people. So they need to be able to dodge. They need to be able to get in within the range of the fight. Whenever someone shorter is fighting someone taller, they need to be able to get within their range of their attacking tool, which usually for me it's get within the leg range, but in this instance it's get within the arm range, which is a much smaller range. But during this session, during the practice, they had been talking about fighting in the pocket where you're like really smushed up against like the bars or the ropes and the person. So talking about this close quarters combat, Salem had just practiced that. So they needed to be able to do that. Then me and Sal were like kind of evenly heighted, so that wasn't much of an issue. But they were just getting slammed in the head. And they told me after the session that their neck was feeling like really snappy. Personally, I wonder why they're not wearing helmets. Because like I've been to a couple competitions in Taekwondo where helmets were optional. I've only ever fought one person in comp who didn't wear a helmet. We always wear helmets in training. The reason behind a helmet is not to stop you getting brain damage. Kind of impossible to protect against that when you're doing impact sport like this. Like, you heard the term punch drunk or like boxers drunk or whatever. The idea of that is your brain is getting rattled around in your brain juice in your skull. It's like hitting your skull and you sort of get a bit like you're a bit woozy, and that's the point behind it. But a helmet is to stop like blunt force trauma to the surface level, stop like you're protecting your ears. Like they say boxers get cauliflower ear a lot, don't they? I think they do. But it's like to protect against like the sticky out bits, the surface level stuff. It's to protect your face and all that. And I think they are going to be wearing helmets on fight night. I think I've seen footage of them wearing helmets. Not the ones with, like, they have a little gap on top, so it's like more of a ring around your head. So in training, not sure why they're not wearing helmets. Everyone's brought their own gloves. I'm sure you can tell people to bring their own helmets, unless they're like renting the helmets for the day. I'm not sure. They got gum shields. That's fine, they've got gum shields. But like Salem was like snapping their neck. And if they had a helmet, there's that enough padding there, but it's not like snapping enough. So they need to fundamentally just guard their head. But also, I feel like a helmet could help. But they're good at their aggression. They are getting like solid body shots. And some people will like try and hit the same spot over and over and over and then like numb it out and stuff. But I don't really know if that's an option when you're such at a beginner level that people are sort of moving. They don't really know like if they're targeting. It's such minutia. Like if you can get a liver shot, oh my god, people go down. They got a couple headshots though, so I was like quite happy at them. Just fighting people taller than you is very reachy and very awkward. Although I noticed like the guard that boxers have, depending on your forearm length, it naturally facilitates some people almost fighting in a hunch, which is interesting. I very naturally lean forward when I'm sparring because I'm an aggressor, but I was like, my upper body was trying to go and my legs were like, no, we can't use you. So it was interesting for me. Then we get to my round, right? I'm going to talk about this in as much detail as I can because I've been talking for a long time now and my voice is getting a bit hoarse. But when I was in the Shark Tank, so I'm going to talk through this round by round as we go. So I started off with this girl, Holly, and she's like one of the less aggressive people that I've noticed. She's been doing loads of extra sessions outside of class, so she's trying really hard on her technique, but I feel like it's the psychological element of fighting that got her. And when she realized like, she's supposed to be aggressing on me, but I am like more aggressive. I was allowing her to like come towards me and I was dodging the shots. I was trying to do more counterpointing, but she like felt the strength behind my hits. Okay, so then we got Jake, who's a pretty big guy. He is one of the guys in the headliner fight, and he was one of the ones I was like really excited to kind of unload on. It sounds kind of bad, but it's like you trust someone can take a hit. He's working really hard. He was a bit slower when he's supposed to be aggressing on me. I couldn't tell if he was just tired or if he was like learning my patterns by watching me. Then I was with Salem and most of it's blocked. I feel like I got told off for getting a little bit aggressive with Salem, but the thing is Salem specifically told me, I want you to lever me because I want to be prepared for it. So I was like really going for them. But Sal actually honestly gets like some reasonable shots in on me. And I feel like that's the risk when you train with too much with one individual person, if you have a favorite partner, because we've been doing stuff at home, obviously. So they sort of were starting to learn my patterns and you don't want to adjust your fighting style for a default opponent, which is is why you do this rotation thing with Shark Tank. Oh, this guy, I can't remember his name or where he's from, but I think he's a chef, and he like can take some solid shots. He was the first person to really clock me, actually. Because like he knew that I could take strength. So he got me in the head, and it like took me off balance a bit, and everyone was like, whoa, 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 but I caught myself on my feet, so I was like really happy about that. And I was like, it's fine, I got it. And then he was like, oh, in boxing, if your feet are off the floor, then you're out. In Taekwondo, as long as only your feet touch the floor, you're still in. So in my rule set, I was still in, so it's fine. But he was like really good. But then I feel like he went kind of chill on me after that, and I didn't want him to be chill on me. And then I got in trouble because... I had to do some burpees. I got 3 burpees for that because I hit him in the face, and looking at the footage back now, I think they called time before I did it, but in the moment I didn't hear them call time, which, you know, fair play, fine, whatever, I'll do it. No complaints at getting more exercises here. So I'm doing like my back-to-back rounds, and I got some burpees in the middle. And then we're back to the brother of the ex, and I can't see anything. Like, I'm pretty sure Salem's the one blocking it as well. Like, you should know better, Sal. Come on, come on. But, like, I wasn't trying to, like, go ham on him because they didn't seem like they were having, like, the most aggressive session. I'm not sure if this is, like, how they do it by default, but they didn't seem like they were going too hardcore. So I was saving my energy for the more aggressive rounds that I knew I had coming up. This guy is great. He has got, like, a lot of boxing experience from what I can tell. I feel like he was a fresh start, but he's got really into outside boxing training, and he's doing other arts as well, I think. I'm not so sure, but he's really good. He's the only guy who came close to winding me, and like I could feel like the solid shot here. Actually, when I poke it, I can kind of feel a little bruise. So like if I hadn't braced at the exact moment that I did, then I would have been at risk of a winding. The final round is with Dom, so I was enjoying it. He like, I think he was enjoying, I feel like, because I heard a lot of things called out while I was doing my rounds, and I could hear from like Dom's area of the room is like, oh, she's excited now, she's excited. And I couldn't tell if that was like a critique for going too hard, or if he was like enjoying that I was getting into it. But he wasn't coming for me too hard, but I feel like he was tired from like doing a bunch of stuff as well. I feel like I wanted him to hit me harder. But he was a really good opponent because I felt like I could not worry about his psyche while I was doing it, because I was trying to like not scare people. And then I came off, and you can't even see it on the camera because the camera is pointing in the opposite direction. But when I came off, I was like a little tired, but it really wasn't pushing myself to my normal level of exertion, so I wasn't like that tired. So I came off and everyone's faces were like there was a mix between shock, horror, excitement, and yeah, you get it, you go, because obviously it's like that hype environment where everyone's like clapping for each other when they come off, and people gave me fist bumps, people gave me hugs, people were like, whoa. And like it felt like that moment, like recognition. Which again, I don't feel like I have anything to prove. I got that over there for that. But like I felt like people didn't know that Taekwondo could do hands like that. Is all I'm thinking. And then people looking at Salem like, oh yeah, oh okay, like because they know I'm training with Salem, and they're seeing that Salem's making some solid progress. So I felt like there was some recognition for Sal there as well, which like made me really happy, because obviously it's collaborative, but everyone's here to win. We all want to win. That's why we're spending time there. You can see I like hunched over like, oh, I'm a bit tired there, and then I like recovered. And then yeah, I got told off for like not wearing the proper gloves, you know, like closed hand big padding gloves. And I feel like, because I only got told that at the end of the session, not during the session, when they had spare gloves. So I feel like it was my performance in Shark Tank that made them go like, maybe she needs more padding. Just maybe she needs more padding. And then I feel like the last thing of note from that session is, so there's Jake, who's like the headliner guy with the big sweat drenched gray shirt, who had like he had his hair in like the little sleeve thing. I can't remember the name of it right now. Do-rag, was it? Maybe. He had it in that, and then it got punched off of him in like one of his almost final rounds. So like when I fought him, he like had no thing to like watch his hair. So I was trying not to completely lever him, because I knew he had to like respond to get his hair out of the way. And you gotta be like conscientious when you're training with people like that. Like sometimes I just throw my belt off and you go, but like hair is different. It's your line of sight. So I was trying not to like be too aggressive about that, but he was really doing well. And he like hit me so hard in the face that, thank God I had my gum shield in. That's why we have gum shields, because we want to maintain teeth. And everyone was like, oh, are you okay? Are you good? Are you good? And I like was just still going. I took a minute to like react and recover, like physically snap myself back up. And in that time, like my nose had gone numb, my lip was going numb, my teeth were kind of numb, and I was like, it's fine, I'm still in play. And I still was going. So then I like, you can't really even see it. It happens so fast in the footage of this round that we have. But like in reaction to that, I just shot him right back. And I feel like everyone else had calmed down when I hadn't calmed down because I was still in fight mode. I didn't like, in my head, I wasn't even like mentally shooketh. But then I think that was the moment that I punched him and he started bleeding out of his nose. I don't know for a fact. I don't know for a fact if it was me. Because it didn't happen immediately, right? It was when we'd finished and we were all cooling down and stretching. Oh, we noticed, oh, there's blood on the floor. And there's blood in his beard and there's blood on his face. So we don't know if it was me, but I think it was me. I made a joke because like other people seemed more confident and so I made a joke like, oh, sorry, were we the biohazard all along? Sort of looking at me and him. And I still don't really know if it was me or not, but I think it might have been. But yeah, so got solid shots in on each other there. And I feel like for like how scrappy Salem was being, they did really well with him as well, to be honest. So yeah, then we all cooled down. We were all told to like do our own stretching. Everyone else is doing like the normal sort of stuff that you would do, and I'm there kind of like doing my own thing like I normally would. At Taekwondo squad, I also do weird stretches at squad. So I wasn't looking at what people were doing. I'm looking in the footage now. And I feel like a lot of people are confused. There are a lot of people doing dynamic stretches at the end, which like you can. But this is the better time for a deep static stretch. We like really push it. And they were doing like debrief and stuff and talking about prep for the fight. And then that was that. I've noticed that everyone I wanted to get an extra interview with was gone because they ran away from my camera. So that was the session. And then me and Salem walked home, went and got some food. We bumped into Holly at Lidl. They had like a lovely nutritious yogurt drink and we were like, we're gonna get a bottle of Coke and a bottle of Pepsi. That's the only advice I allow myself. I've told Salem about the concept of carb loading for energy reserves that you build up. Like the week before the fight, for example. But like they've made a point that they're not gonna really be changing their diet because they're already exerting so much more. They're actually like losing weight visibly. So I'm really proud of them for that. So I'm gonna wrap up now. Remember, we're about week 5 of the boot camp. There's 3 more weeks to go. They're still selling tickets. I'm going to be second corner for Salem because obviously like I'm not part of IBE. I'm not part of I don't know if it's a CIC or a charity or something because we're working with charities. So I feel like it's probably set up as a CIC, but I'm not like a staff member. So I can't be the primary coach because I'm not like insured for that, but I'm like the secondary coach. So I'm going to be there. Also bought a ticket because, you know, it's for a good cause. We're going to be working together as like a team for Salem and that's great. And I can't wait to see how that works out. If you want to come to the event, get your ticket, link in the description below. And all the contributions go to the Chosen Fighters charity, so make sure you're using Salem's ticket and not just like Googling it, because I feel like you actually have to pay more if you don't use a direct link as well. I'm not so sure about that. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. Use Salem's link in the description to get possibly a slightly discounted one. Or you can also donate to the charity through Salem's GoFundMe page, which is separate, and the charity of choice is Ehlers Danlos Society, and then there's also just a couple more Ehlers Danlos charities in the description below because, you know, you want to spread the love, and like maybe I'll pick one that I like too, just because, you know, my channel, I want to pick something, I want to get involved in that way, who knows. You know what, I'll do the Anderton Centre if there's a way to donate to the Anderton Centre, because I used to work there, I did marketing for them, they're really cool, I love them. It's not fighting, but they do make sports and adventure accessible to people of disadvantaged backgrounds, whether that be disability or just generally like disadvantaged, socioeconomic, they do work with veterans, all that sort of stuff. So I like those guys, they're really cool, so go look at that. I'm also going to try and remember to put Liv's charity in the description below, so I'll see if I can get a link from her for that. So the fight is on August 18th. It is being hosted at Amber's in Manchester, which I think is like 1,000 capacity venue, but obviously it's not going to be that full because they have to put a ring in and things, and they have to set up all the fighting area, so it's probably not going to be 1,000 people. It's probably going to be like a few hundred people. I know that they're past the halfway point for selling tickets, so don't be slow about it. I'm putting this video up on Wednesday the 30th, so it's about 3 weeks basically. You've got about 3 weeks before the fight. So yeah, make sure you donate, follow them all on their social media. I'll link IB's social media down below as well. I hope you've enjoyed this massive part 1 of this little micro documentary I'm basically doing. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Like, comment, subscribe. Goodbye.